What is going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody doing on another beautiful Saturday evening? We got an amazing guest, amazing panel as usual. So, as you file in, once again, hit the like button on your way in, hit the subscribe button. Appreciate you guys. Once again, if you want to further support the channel, you can always join, become a member. You get cool stuff like badges, emojis, all that type of cool stuff, man. But you know what to do. If you're new here, subscribe. Appreciate you guys continuously supporting the podcast, man. Seemingly it's been growing every week for the last probably 6 weeks. So thank you guys for so much support. That just tells me we're doing the right thing. You guys are enjoying the content. You guys are having fun. And that's what we do here at the Shop Podcast. So once again, let everybody know we live. The time change has not happened yet. So I will make sure everybody is aware as of Monday, the time change, because once again, I'm in AZ and it messes everybody up. Our time doesn't change. So I'll make sure throughout the entire week next week, I'll let you guys know and reiterate when the show is going to be, so you guys are here next Saturday and everybody's not all thrown off. But besides all of that, once again, it's another amazing Saturday. Got my fellas here with me. Got a first-time guest here on the show, so let's go ahead and get to that. Shout out to you. We got Big Cloud Gaming joining us. First-time guest on the show. The man wears many hats. I've been a fan of his for a while now. Catch him on a few different podcasts, but I'm sure he'll get into that. Once again, thank you, Big Cloud, for hanging out with us. Let everybody know where they can find you, brother.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. You guys can find me, Big Cloud Gaming pretty much everywhere. Obviously, my show, RGT Podcast, on Fridays. You can find me on Boom's Podcast when I can make it. And Midweek Mix Up, and also Solidcast. So I'm pretty much everywhere.
And once again, all of those links are in the description. Shout out to you once again for hanging out with us, man. I hit you up earlier this week. Appreciate you just giving us a couple hours here, man. And you guys know what to do. Support everybody that comes on the show as a guest, man. Go down there, follow, like, subscribe, do all of that good stuff. We appreciate the guests taking the time to hang out with us here at the Shop Podcast. So once again, shout out to you, Big Cloud, for hanging out with us, man. It's been a while. Been meaning to get you on here. We finally got you on here, so we're gonna have a good time tonight, man. And let me do a couple quick shout outs here in chat, man. Got Shonsu, got Stanley, Blue, Fifth Horseman, Tay Lois. I saw Luis in here. Shout out to everybody watching live. You guys are freaking amazing. So let me get over here to my two right hand man, the guys that make me look good every single week. The engines behind the Shop Podcast. We got the dual turbos. We're gonna start with Mr. Pong. So how you been this week, brother? Lots of stuff going on. I know we're gonna get into that, but how you been? I'm just glad to hear from you.
Heck yeah, man. Listen, we got Starfield. Finally. Yes. Not quite the way I was expecting, but we will talk about that. But of course, first things first, we got Big Cloud Gaming in the house. Big Cloud's been too long, man. Since you and I podcasted together, it's great to have you on here. You have some amazing takes on things. So thank you for joining us tonight on the Shop Podcast. And, of course, PTK and Fuzzy, always great to hear from my brothers. Started the day off right, nearly 5-hour podcast with myself and my brother from another Steel Rain. So I'm ready to rock and roll. It's been a great week. I've just been doing my thing, grazing all over the place. Still playing Andromeda to get that sci-fi fix while I wait. Playing some Guilty Gear Strive. It's a little bit of Wo Long, and then actually deleted Call of Duty and re-downloaded Battlefield 2042. And Steel and I just got off playing some rounds of that. Man, that game it's dice. It took a year and a half, but dang, does that game play well now. Absolutely loving Battlefield again, as always. I have been since the beginning.
Oh, they actually fixed it.
Oh, they've done so much work. Like I said, it took them a year and a half. But it took them a year
longer than expected.
Yeah, much longer. But they got the class system back now. So that is big, giant improvement. It's playing real good right now. So yeah, we were just rocking on that. But yeah, that's been my week pretty much. It's just been kind of, again, I'm just waiting. And now we got Starfield. Now I got to wait 6 months. So, okay. All right. Well, I'm going to be grazing all over the place, I guess. But we got a lot of new games coming, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to be able to play and enjoy Diablo 4, which is a bonus.
That's nice. We were worried about that, both of us.
Yep. That is a bonus for it dropping in September. So, that's been my week. But we got a lot to get into, PTK. So let's get down to business, brother.
Man, shout out to you, man. Once again, you guys know what to do. Go follow Pong. It's the easiest way to keep up with him. All of that is down in the description below. So shout out to you, Pong, for hanging out with us, man. And last but not least, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere kind of stepped out of your lane this week. Did a solo video. I saw it. So once again, guys, I didn't put it in the description, but make sure you go to Fuzz's Twitter account and go watch his video. He does have a YouTube channel. I know he kind of keeps it under wraps, but Fuzz has a YouTube channel. Go watch the video. Once again, if you're a racing fan, a Forza fan, it's your cup of tea. Zinc, I know you made it. Shout out to you. I'm sure he's seen the video like 26 times by now because you know he's a big racing fan. But shout out to you, Fuzz. How you been this week, brother?
I've been doing pretty good. I figured it's time for me to start talking about, Forza Motorsport with it coming in, hopefully, some point later part of this year, and, my excitement for it and just racing games in general. And was hoping to get a little bit more on Test Drive, Solar Crown Unlimited, and stuff like that. But we also have Forza Horizon with the rally racing coming later this month. So there's a lot going on as far as racing, and figured I'd toss my hat into the crowd as far as, talking about stuff that I'm excited about. But man, glad to be here. Glad to have Big Cloud here. A lot of stuff to talk about. So let's do it.
Let's get into it, man. Once again, appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. We got a lot to talk about, man. You guys already know like half the show is going to be about this week anyway. As soon as that tweet came out, you guys already knew what we was on top of this week. But shout out to everybody watching. What's up, Jay? How you doing, man? And where's Ashtray at? I see Blue in here. I guess the frauds ain't hanging out together this week. So, Blue, call up Ashtray, man. We got to balance things out. But shout out to you for hanging out with us. So, we start with the poll of the week. You guys know what we do here. If you're new here, poll of the week every single Monday on my Twitter account. Go follow me there. Then we just take part in that poll every single Saturday. So, it's funny because sometimes I do a poll and the poll matches with what the biggest topic of the week is. And this just so happens to be one of those weeks where things lined up perfectly, man. Shout out to everybody who went out and voted. Once again, follow me on Twitter. It's the easiest way to be a part of that. So poll of the week this week was with Starfield showcase on the horizon. I wanted to ask, what one do you think you will spend more time doing? Which one? So the two options were shipbuilding or base building. So chat, we'll start with you guys. Obviously, let us know which one you guys are going to spend more time in on Starfield, building ships or building bases. Once again, this is going to be a huge part of the game. So we're starting with our guest, Big Cloud. No warm-ups. So we're throwing you right into the fire, brother. So which one, if you're playing Starfield, if you're going to buy the game, if you're going to be playing it, which one do you think you're going to spend more time doing, building ships or building bases?
Honestly, I'm kind of waiting to see the finished product before I make a decision on what I'm gonna do, because I'm not even sure if I'm still gonna buy it or not.
Okay, that is a fair assessment. So we gonna parking lot that. But so hypothetically, say for instance you do buy the game, right? Like which one do you think you would spend more time doing? Like if you just think about the aspect, okay, if I'm gonna go ahead and actually make this purchase, which one do you think you would put more time into?
More likely building ships.
Okay, you okay, cool. No worries there. So building ships will be something that obviously is a big deal. I think I would lean that way as well too. Probably building ships. I got some cool ideas. Now we don't know how what we're actually going to be able to do as far as like how detailed that's going to be. It looks crazy, like you're going to be able to. I know a lot of us thinking we're going to be able to build like anything, but we'll see what the parameters are, and you got to start thinking about mods later on down the line. So I'm sure there's going to be a ton of customization in this game, probably more than we're even thinking. So we're going to roll this over to you, Pong. I was going to go last for you, Pong, but we're going to go ahead and get these wheels greased. You already warmed up. You did a 5-hour show. So minus all the other stuff, which one are you doing?
That's a big question, isn't it? I put ships, but that easily could change to bases once the full game comes out, or once we get the deep dive and we see what we can actually do. I put ships because there's going to be so much customization as far as attack ships versus storage ships, versus long distance travel ships. You're going to have to worry about all of that, and they've already kind of confirmed that that's all going to play into it. You're going to have to monitor your energy levels when you're shipbuilding and make sure that all the systems are balanced out. And you're going to have to kind of decide how you're going to, use that energy up. And so I think I'm going to spend a ton of time in shipbuilding. We also got a little rumor today, as people are want to do when new videos come out, especially of Bethesda.
Oh man!
They break it down, and
Oh.
somebody actually blew up the code that was on one of the computer screens next to one of the gentlemen that was playing, and blew up the computer code. And it appears, again, big grain of salt, but this is always fun, that we're going to be able to have AI controlled ships. So does that mean we are able to have a fleet of ships? Does that mean off of our bases where we're collecting resources, we're going to be able to transport those resources and sell them across the galaxy, which is certainly potential. And if that's the case, then yeah, shipbuilding probably will be the place I spend the most time, because I will be amassing a fleet to do my bidding across the entire universe. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with shipbuilding for right now.
Okay. All right. Well, I like I said, I tend to agree myself, and I kind of want to double back on something here real quick, something that you brought up. Now, regarding, because we obviously don't have all the details. People have fine-tooth comb. I've seen like 12 videos that have done the same thing, went through that video and like frame by frame and like picked out everything that happened. So does that change? Like, obviously there's we don't know everything about the game, but does stuff like that change your approach as far as like whether the shipbuilding or base building, like the priority? Because I know you, Pong, you're gonna have you're gonna do everything you can possibly do. You're gonna spend an inordinate amount of time in this game, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other people out there like this too. But how does that change your dynamic? Like, okay, well, how do I spend more of my time? You know what I mean?
Right. What becomes more valuable at that point, right? Because I'm going to be doing everything but the main missions. That's what winds up happening. I'll come to the main missions probably a year from release or something like that, unless it's necessary. But yeah, so it's all going to be based on the value, right? So if I'm exploring all 1,000 planets and I'm building bases on there, what the resources I'm getting off of there, what does that mean for my crafting, how much of those resources got to be spent building ships, all of that is going to come into play, because then you're talking about more sim management, right? Now you're talking about kind of like, okay, how much time is this going to take versus how much value am I getting out of it versus, what do I need in that moment to continue to build my empire across the universe. And that's basically what's going to come down for me. Now, again, there's a lot of assumption here, but the base building could become epic if they've got,
that's
because
true.
it's modular, just like the shipbuilding is. So depending on how many options they got in it, depending if you can make unique bases that are specific use kind of bases, well, then that gets in a whole nother realm. Versus like a general use base that kind of does a one-stop shop. And then you got to, obviously we haven't even gotten into, getting people to run your base, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's where base building could definitely come in much higher as far as clock time goes versus shipbuilding. But like I said, if we are able to amass a fleet, if we are to have multiple ships, that is going to take a lot of time deciding what kind of ships I want to have versus what I need. So it's going to be fun no matter what, man. I'm so freaking excited right now, PTK.
I know you were juiced. Man. I know it. And we're going to get into that. We got plenty of time to get into that for sure. I want to double back on Big Cloud real quick. Double back on our guest here. So I know you said, there's some, you may or may not purchase the game. And I asked you, kind of which one would you lean towards hypothetically. Now, you did say shipbuilding. Is there like a hypothetical ship? Like, say, for instance, they just let you build whatever ship you want. Is there anything out there that any type of ship that you would particularly like to build? Maybe from like Star Wars, Star Trek, anything like that?
I mean, I'm a big Star Wars fan, so yeah, absolutely. But I would like to build something like that, especially with the hype that I have for Jedi Survivor, which is arguably probably going to be one of my most anticipated games of this year, aside from Spider-Man. So that ultimately is going to come down to the customization and what options do we have, like how detailed, how fluid it is, how what the varieties are, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, sure, I can say I would love to build anything, but again, I got to see what we have. So
got it. That makes sense, right? Lou, that makes sense. We got to see what the options are. Same thing that Pong says. So shout out to you. And once again, we do a lot of fantasy football here. Spend a lot of time on Speculation Town. So we like to go there every now and then. So you got to excuse me, Big Cloud.
You good.
but shout out to you, man. Appreciate that. So we're gonna throw this over to you, Fuzz. And once again, we've been talking about this, Fuzz. I don't. Before this generation started, I spent very little time in RPGs. You know what I mean? So I didn't get a chance to do a whole lot of this. I don't have a lot of this in my gaming DNA. So this is going to be one of my first times delving into something like this because Starfield is essentially my door into that type of game. So which one are you going to spend more time doing? Base building or ship building?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be shipbuilding. Like I'm going to play it more so as like a nomad, where each base I build is going to be mainly centered around resources, unless I find like that, Goldilocks planet where it's got all the minerals and supplies and whatnot that I need, and then I can go ahead and build like the super base on that. But I think I'm gonna spend more time building ships that are geared to have a little bit more armor, so there's some space combat that I might encounter with the pirates and stuff like that. I'm definitely going to put a lot of focus on that. Faster warp drives, more shielding and things like that. So shipbuilding is probably where a majority of the time between, if it's base building or shipbuilding, the shipbuilding is where I'll spend a majority of it. But man, I'm big fan of Star Wars and Star Trek, but leaning more Star Trek. So I'll probably go more into the grand scheme of things of something from Star Trek, but more of like a Vulcan ship or something along those lines.
You and
Hopefully
Big Cloud
we have
have
like
to have
cloaking
a duel
devices
now.
or something as well. So we'll see how that goes. But if the option provides cloaking, extra shielding, faster warp drive, and the best weaponry I can, stuff on that ship without having to, weigh it down or something. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, you and him got to have a standoff now. You're Star Trek, he's Star Wars. You know how it goes. So mandatory standoff to see who wins. But okay. So once again, chat, let us know what you guys voted for, which option, would you guys do most of? Obviously, we're projecting here. We don't know how all of this is going to go yet. But once again, this is what we enjoy doing here at the Shop Podcast, having a lot of fun. So great warm-up topic. Do some more shout-outs here. I saw a Mav drop in here. What's up, UK Lad? 3-Bit just popped in here. Tony Grasso. What's up, Crispy Bomb? How you doing? So once again, man, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. So we're moving on to the main meat of the actual podcast. So we're diving into Starfield. We're going to talk about that. And like I said, it's a perfect segue because it just so happened that we got that information this week. So if you were not under a rock, in my opinion, the biggest news this week by far was the Starfield news. We finally got a release date. We finally got a date of the actual Starfield Direct, what Todd called it. That's going to be June 11th, essentially E3 week, quote unquote, regardless of, the E3 event or not. As well as we got the release date now. It's going to be September 6th of this year.
But
now,
the Twitter warriors told me it was being delayed. That I saw is not what we heard all year. It's going to get delayed. It's canceled.
Hey, you never know, man. You never know. So we'll get into that, and I'm sure we're gonna segue into that right here. So perfect segue. But yeah, we'll start with you. One, Big Cloud. I don't know what expectations you had one for the game. I don't know how high it was on your list, but just what do you think about in general of the announcement, the event? Kind of just some general expectations of the release date, things like that. When you saw the tweet, what would you think?
I mean, again, it's good that we got confirmation for a release date. We know Sony's got, some games coming for this year, but we still don't have confirmation from theirs. Like, we don't know what Haven Studios working on, right? We don't know what Demolition Games, etc. So it's good to see that we got confirmation that we are getting it this year. It's good. I got no issues with the release date and the fact that we're getting it. I will say this: my expectations are definitely tempered. I've learned this the hard way. And I don't like the overhype anything as of right now. And I learned that from the Callisto Protocol. I don't know if y'all played the Callisto Protocol, but that was my game that was one of my most overhyped games that I've ever had. And yeah, the game, let's just say, well, I ain't gonna say it, but that game under delivered. Yeah, no. Again, it's cool. It's exciting to see that we finally got something to look forward to. Hopefully, they do deliver, and everybody's excited and happy with what we receive.
Awesome. That was a lot. That the expectation of what you were going to talk about was completely different in my head than what actually happened. So, but no, that's awesome, bro. So I agree with you on a lot of different points.
You
One,
thought I was gonna be upset
no,
about it?
no, not upset about it, but I thought there would be more parsing there of like the date and things like that because so many people have been hanging their hat on the whole. Well, it didn't fit within the first 6 months, and that I thought maybe we'd go a little bit more that direction. But
Well,
you never know.
one thing I learned from talking to developers and hanging with a lot of them, because I
Uh-huh.
do that in my spare time, things get pushed back,
Yes,
delays
yes,
happen, and more likely they probably did have that in store for like an earlier release date for this, but again, complications. This is not just launching on one platform from what I remember. It's launching on multiple. It's going to be on Xbox Series S and S, right? I think
yep,
so,
yep,
plus PC.
yep,
So there's a lot of optimization has to go into this game. They're already giving you kind of a detailed overview of what you're going to get with the customization and all that stuff. But again, like all that stuff sounds great on paper, but it comes down to what we get. You
yeah,
know what I mean? It's not just a
yeah,
presentation, it's what you really, what you put into this.
yeah,
And, that's where they kind of have their own little hurdles they
yeah.
have to worry about. But I do hope they deliver. I don't think we're gonna have a CD Project Red type of thing where it's gonna be, not optimized.
Yeah, I
Which
don't either.
I hope not. I
Yeah,
hope it's not gonna be.
I hope not either.
Yeah, that's
God, good
worst case
Lord, yeah,
scenario. Yeah, that's
yeah,
worst case scenario if you
yeah,
had that, and then you had the whole debacle of like the whole PC community having to fix a game, which has been marketed heavy for a console. So I don't think that's the case, but I hope to
yeah,
God that's not the case because they definitely don't need that at this current time.
yeah. Awesome, great breakdown, and I agree 100% with a lot of those points. One for me, just to get my point out of the way here. One, when I first saw when I woke up and saw that news, once I was just relieved to get a date first and foremost. Right, a lot of us we did the March thing. A lot of us did some other dates, June, April, whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. Some of us were wrong, some people were right. That didn't matter at all to me. I was just relieved to hear that we got a date, as well as to me, the visual matters a whole lot. And hearing Todd sound super confident about this date, I know he sounded like that before when he said not what was it the November date or whatever
11/11.
last year,
Mhm.
11/11. But just hearing the general consensus of they've polished this thing to the umpteenth degree. It sounds like he's ready to show us now, like ready to show us now. Like
I
he
hope
just
so.
can't wait to see it. Yeah, exactly. And once again, this is me just talking ahead of time, but it sounds like he's ready. It sounds like he's ecstatic. They're busting at the seams. The little bit of game plan stuff that we got, just a little screenshots of things, everything looked great. Now, once again, will that translate? I have no doubt it will. I feel like they're putting everything, they're pushing all of the eggs into the table, all their money into the table for this particular game. It has to be right. And I feel like, he's ready for us to finally see everything that they've been working on. So once again, I was just happy to get a date. September actually works when you think about it. Now, we don't, not from any company, Nintendo, from the big three, Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation, we don't really know what's going on after June with any of these companies. Like, this was one of the first games we got a release date for that's past like June, July.
Yeah.
Most games we have no idea what's happening in the second half of the year from any of the big three. So September sounds good just traditionally, because when you think about the games that come out in September, it's generally not a game as large as Starfield, unless it's like COD or something like that. But this is a very, very good spot. I don't think anything will be moving out of the way. Maybe once now that we got the date, maybe some things are going to change once we see it E3. Maybe we see some things pushed a little further than they were intended to be. But once again, that remains to be seen. Ultimately, I'm excited. I'm happy. I can't wait for the event on June 11th. I'm going to be my bowl of cereal, everything going like a kid at Christmas, man. I'm going to be so excited to see the full breakdown, see what they're actually giving us at this point in time, because I know we talk about tempering expectations, Big Cloud, but I'm really not that dude. Like, I'm really not good at that at all, Big Cloud. Like, that's not what I'm good at, and I live in the clouds a lot of times with these games.
It's mostly because this is a new IP. That's why
Yeah.
my expectations are tempered. But
Yeah.
like if you're talking about like stuff, I guess you could say you could be hyped for, because I know what this team has delivered, and it's with Hellblade. Like Hellblade 2, I believe
same,
it's going to
same.
be really, really good when that drops.
Mhm.
And kind of crazy. I don't think we got a release date for Hellblade.
We haven't. We have not.
I think Starfield's got confirmed release date before Hellblade 2. I don't know about how fuzzy or Pong feels about it, but I do find that to be a little odd. I would expect Hellblade 2 to drop this year, but I mean, hopefully we get some more news as we progress. But
there was a recent post regarding from the studio. I feel like they're ramping up the Project Mara stuff. They recently posted about hiring for that particular project. They might be winding Hellblade 2 down at this point. At least it feels like it. I mean, they've been past the mocap stuff. They've done all of that. They've gone back in, I think, and re-recorded some things. So we've gotten little updates here and there. I don't know. I don't always follow along, what Ninja Theory does, but every time they drop a little blog post, I try and tune in just to see the progress. So it feels like they're moving away from that and they're winding that down at this particular point in time. But I'm sure Pong will get into that. But let me throw this over to Pong. Matter of fact, no, we're gonna throw this to Fuzz because I need Pong to go last on this one. So one, just the news that we got: Starfield release date, the June event. Where are you at on all of this, Fuzz?
Glad we got a release date. Disappointed that it was outside the 12-month deal. And it's not the end of days, but it's like messaging needs work. That's the key thing with Xbox at this point.
Got it.
It's polish is better to have a game delayed and have them work on it, but you would think with first party they would have a better or a good idea as far as when it comes to if their teams are able to meet milestones and things like that. So
it feels like they're walking on quicksand over there as far as like the way Xbox handles the first party. Like everything's so fluid, like it feels like anything can move at any point in time. That's not necessarily a good thing optically, like from our standpoint. I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts over there at Xbox. There's a lot going on, but I definitely get what you're saying. I absolutely 100% agree with that. That like that's something that they do need to buckle down on. Now, I don't really think it'll hurt Starfield in the long run, really at all. I don't really think. I think we'll be over. I think
once we have it in our hands, the delays and whatnot will be forgotten at that point. It'll just be the focus on like photo mode and what did you find in your storyline or your adventure versus what I found type of thing and how different they may be type of deal. But that's about the only thing. And the fact that we still don't have anything on motorsport. But I've kind of already gotten to the point where or of the mindset that it's going to be like October anyway. If it comes 2023, they're still targeting. Yeah, I hate that word, but targeting 2023. But still excited for Starfield nonetheless. Still excited for Forza. It's just it would be better if they either I won't say keep quiet on dates or timelines or windows or whatever, but let it play out to the point where it's don't put a definite until you are pretty close to gold or something like that. Give a window. Hey, we plan or our hopes or expectation is deliver in 23. We'll keep you posted as the game progresses type of thing. But
so I'm gonna play devil's advocate to that statement because I've heard that from many people. Like we're gonna have this argument to the end of time because I feel like there's always a push and pull. Because as soon as you sound that to me, you say, well, that sounds extremely unsure and unconfident. Some people would argue that may be worse because that sounds like they don't really know. You know what I mean? That doesn't scream confident. So just to play devil's advocate, I think some people make the argument that might be worse because that doesn't sound very confident. But once again, not to discredit your point or anything, kind of wanted to see that from the other side of the,
No, my biggest thing is I wish they would get into the habit of like what some studios have done and like overestimate and deliver sooner. Like Sifu was one of those that they were like late February last year and they wound up delivering like a week or two early. Same thing with Dead Island. I think they were supposed to be end of April and they're going to be like the beginning of April or end of March or something like that. So I know those are smaller games. They're not as involved as like an RPG that has thousands of planets and things like that, but something along those lines where they give themselves enough of a buffer to kind of be able to pull a surprise and it's like, hey, we were targeting originally December. We're going to have this in time for the Game Awards and delivered early November or something. I don't know if they care about the Game Awards, but things along those lines. But outside of that, in general, the Starfield video that they showed and giving us an update is that it's not going to be part of the E3 show. It's going to be like an after show kind of thing where the Dev Direct is going to go into more detail. And the stuff that they were showing in the background with people playing, I guess their early builds or their current build of the game, it looked promising. As far as now, yes, video can show it at 60 frames, and it might not be the case because we know Todd Howard likes the 30 frames or the more filmic view. But I think they've heard enough of the rumblings at other games and just the community in general that having a performance mode would be huge. But I mean, for me, the only additional thing would be, a true photo mode, which I'm kind of surprised Hogwarts didn't have one planned. I mean, you could still take photos, obviously, but it's like, trying to get rid of the HUD. Yeah, good luck with that. But but outside of that, I think everything that we've heard so far is encouraging, and it just comes down to looking forward to the Dev Direct come June and see, if we get more details on the shipbuilding and base building and the factions and, the starting quests versus like end game and so forth type of thing. Some interesting, visuals were shown as far as like, I guess the thing that we might be searching, the cosmos
Yeah,
for
I
as
saw
far
that.
as that,
Almost.
I forget the name of that the movie.
It looks like a Stargate thing,
Yeah,
like a Stargate.
like,
Yeah.
whatever we're searching or hunting down, it looks like it's going to be a pretty interesting, I guess main story quest type of deal. But overall, pretty pleased with what I saw. Still pumped for it, but for me, anytime they give dates, it's an asterisk at this point. So take it with a grain of salt, as we probably should have been doing for ages anyway. But yeah, I just can't wait until June and see what else they have for E3 along with the Dev Direct. So only a matter of 3 months now before we get to that.
Yep. Okay. Well, no, once again, it's such a push and pull, and I've seen so many different arguments, and luckily those arguments didn't hang around too long because I ultimately think, like at the end of the day, once we get to like May, June, I think the excitement is going to, swing around and people are going to really start getting into like, oh, we're actually getting the game and start getting into that. The feeling is going to change. Nobody's really going to care about the arbitrary 12-month window that they said should have fell into. Although, like I said, we're not going to discredit that because they did say that. You know what I mean? So we're not going to sit up here and act like that is not the case. I love Xbox, but that is a thing. You know what I mean? That is something that they don't do very well. And I can definitely see people's arguments from that standpoint. I just don't stay there very long. You know what I mean? I look at that and acknowledge it for what it is, and I move on, because ultimately, we don't know what this what the calendar looks like, especially after June. And hopefully that gets cleared up. Big Cloud mentioned Hellblade 2, all these other games you're talking about, Forza. We don't really know where those are going to fall in the calendar. So hopefully we get some clarification on all of that, by the time we get around to that event. So I'm pumped as well too. I'm super, super pumped. So
definitely need confirmation.
Yeah. I Big Cloud for sure. Go ahead, man. I don't know if he was going to say anything else. Go ahead, bro.
Oh no, just we definitely need confirmation. More games in the loop of, more updates.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much really it. I don't like when things are too radio silent when it comes to big news. I don't like that at all. I mean, granted, look at what we just got with the state of play. Sony focused that on VR, but what was the big thing people took from that? Oh, there was no big announcement. Where's the showcase? Where's the big stuff? And it's like, good point, good question, but it's like we don't know. So that's the thing. We don't know.
Yeah, it's always tough, man. It's I feel like it's harder and harder as these years go on to predict these things, man. So many moving parts. These companies aren't like what they used to be. They're a lot larger. They got 20, 30 new studios. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot more moving parts. You know, Xbox isn't the same, PlayStation isn't the same, Nintendo is the same. So, you know, they've thrown out a lot of those old strategies, what we got used to for a long time, like how games were announced, how games were presented, how they were marketed.
We spent the better part of 2 years now talking about acquisitions.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's
pretty
really,
much.
that should tell you a lot about what's been going on.
Exactly. And Sony and Xbox went on a huge, you know, buying spree, you know, as far as, buying up these developers and, you know, new publishers and things like that. So we're going to throw this over to you, Pong. Last but not least, I know, like I said, I didn't get to see the 5-hour stream this morning. So I know you already been in your bag, but I'm dying to hear where you're at on this, brother.
Been in my bag all week.
Oh yeah.
Starting on Thursday, you know. I mean, if you want general impressions here, let's just start. Like I said, this was a surprise. Obviously, the Marchers cult has disbanded. We are no more. But it was a fun ride while it lasted.
It's awesome, man. I love that stuff.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun in a lot of ways for a large portion of the community. We had a lot of good discussion about it too. So it didn't turn out the way obviously that I had hoped. And again, we're once more 6 months away. But I'm all for delays. I'll never be the guy who says, no, you can't delay this game, right? I get more impatient as I get older. I think a lot of us, as we get older, we realize more and more that tomorrow is never given, right? And so we always want to play things or enjoy things sooner than later, because you never know what's going to happen even a week from now, let alone 6 months from now, right? Things can change. Life can change real quick. We saw that over the past couple of years. So I think that's part of my impatience. But at the same time, I totally get that they delayed it, that they, whatever the reason why, maybe it was a roadmap thing. Maybe, Todd and his team decided they needed the extra time. That's fine. Whatever the case may be, it's done. We have a date, which is surprising. I said that all along, PTK. If they were going to delay this again, they needed to tell us sooner than later.
You did say that.
That's what I said. And I was shocked because a lot of us still thought we were getting, most people still thought that we were getting that deep dive sooner than later. Yeah. So it was kind of shocking to see the trailer and then, the opening trailer and then have it go right to the launch date. And I'm like, whoa, okay, September it is. And then, obviously Todd comes on, does his speech. You can see the confidence ooze from that team, especially Todd. He's been doing this for decades, and it's natural for him. But when Todd gets a little smirk on his face and says, we poured a lot into this game. We can't believe how much we poured into this game. This game's huge. That tells me something. And then he followed that up by saying, we've got so much more to show you. What? Excuse God, what did you just say? I'm sorry, you've shown us a ton in the showcase last year. We got a lot of mechanics. We got to see base building, shipbuilding, crafting. We got to see customization, character building, NPCs. We got to see all of that stuff. And you're still telling me that you got a lot more to show us? How big is this game? And that kind of puts into perspective where they're going with this. Now, obviously, we won't know. We'll know a lot more after the deep dive come June 11th. That's going to be one heck of a day. Having Xbox showcase and then right after that, the deep dive. I don't know how I'm going to maintain that. I don't know.
Oh, you will.
I will. I will.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a giddy little kid on Christmas, like you said, PTK, come the deep dive. But overall, they did a great job. They do what Bethesda does when they do any type of teaser, any type of, just when they're going to present something, they do it in their own way. And that's what they did here, because even though the opening trailer was short, it told us a lot. If you look at the deep dive videos, it went into the artifacts, which is the main part of the story. That we know of right now. Again, we had Scalzi on. Me and Matt had Scalzi on Thursday, and he had some interesting thoughts, and we kind of talked about him that there could be something else, that this could be a diversion, and that Todd's setting us up that, midway through the game, all of a sudden it could open up in a whole different way. But Be that as may, they definitely gave us a lot of clarity there. They tied it in with the original trailer from the showcase last year. You go back and look again, you can see it on the ship scene where they're walking through the ship in the beginning. There's some graphics actually hanging on the wall that show the artifact, that show that building where the artifact was stored, that we got to see up close and
like
personal.
blueprints, right? Like schematics.
Yes, blueprints, correct, where they were trying to figure out what these artifacts meant, right? So they tie it all in. And then even when Todd's talking with the footage in the background, they did the same thing with Oblivion, right? And he talked about that in the video. And that scene in the background that was running is probably the test level that they're going to show off during the deep dive, because that's what they did with Oblivion. And the Oblivion video, they actually had the sewers. And that's the exact, they were run through it hundreds of times.
And with the same person too.
Yes, same person too. I forget his name every single time too. But anyways, they run through that constantly to make sure they've got all the bugs worked out. So when they present it in the deep dive, obviously there's no issues. So that scene back there was important too. And then showing us off the other screens. Some of them had been seen before in other videos, but most of them are brand new. But the big thing here is they showed off, and again, this is all on purpose. Nothing Bethesda does is by accident. They're very purposeful when they do this. They have a formula, and they stick to it almost with every single release that they do, especially from the A team. They showed a lot of clips with third-person view. Now that, you can say, well, there's always been third-person Bethesda games. Yeah, but it's always been a tack on. It's always been an add-on. Like, they've never gone out of their way to polish the third person view. And so some people have been okay with it. Some people have played, Skyrim and stuff in third person. Most people, or a lot of people, do play it in the first person mode because that's the one they spend the most time on. But this time around, they're showcasing third person a lot, meaning, and you can see it in the animations, you can see it in the style, because these, if you ever look at the older Bethesda games, their third-person animation was meh at best, right? This looks much, much better. They are putting effort into this third-person mode. And then, like Fuzzy brought it up, the 60 frames thing is important as well. And yes, Todd loves his 30 frames. Everybody's pointed out how many times in interviews he says that. There's going to be a Todd mode in this game for sure, with the highest fidelity at 30 frames. Okay, for sure. That's what he likes. But it is 2023. The Skyrim Anniversary Edition came out, had the 60 frames in it, right? They understand that there's a new group of people, new group of fans out here that do now enjoy 60 frames because technology has caught up. So I believe that the performance mode will be in there from day one. I believe the 60 frames, again, was not a mistake because they know people analyze these videos nonstop. And so, again, it's purposeful. So the 60 frames was great to see. Through and through all of this, my hype levels just kept getting higher and higher, and you already know I'm in outer space myself right now for Starfield. This is my most anticipated game in decades. Cyberpunk and Starfield were side by side. I got my Cyberpunk, now it's Starfield, and I cannot simply wait to actually get my hands on this. But first, we get this deep dive June 11th, and that's going to tell us a lot more, because this is going to be a classic Todd Howard deep dive. We're going to get probably I'd probably say 45 minutes in this deep dive.
You think so?
Yeah,
I was wondering that too.
Yeah, because of how he talked about it. Now it could be a standard 30, but I think the way Todd talked about it, said we've got so much more to show you. I really think they're going to run us through a whole entire kind of section, a mission, in that section, but then really get down and dirty with the rest of the mechanics that maybe we haven't seen, maybe show us some more improvements. And that's the other thing in all those videos. We got to see more biomes than we did all previously. We got to see some of the planets really showing off their uniqueness as well, which is a great thing to see. And we got to see a lot of upgrading. We got to see a lot of the polishing they've been doing since last summer. You could tell the time has been well spent in just the basic motion that we saw on screen, just everything about it, even the details within the screenshots, even though those are behind Todd or on a computer screen and then also transmitted to YouTube, you could still tell the difference if you really go look at them. This is the Creation Engine 2, the new engine, kind of flexing its muscle. because, again, you go back to Skyrim, you go back, to Fallout 4. They're Bethesda games. They're not blowing your socks off off your feet when you're talking about graphically, but when you talk about the scope and scale of these games, and Starfield's on a whole nother level, what I saw in this was absolutely gorgeous. And I think they're going to take that to another level for Bethesda specifically. So I was happy to see the time has been well spent. As far as the 12 months as the delay goes, it was a delay in my opinion. It's all opinion based. If you don't think it was a delay, so be it. That's fine. It doesn't matter to me. Again, I'm fine. I'm cool with delays. Never will scream about delays. But this does go back to Xbox's communication and their marketing and building that consumer trust. And they put themselves in a spot that nobody asked them to. They never had to give that 12-month time frame, ever. Nobody was saying that, Xbox, you better give us the next 12 months of games. Nobody was ever saying that. They did that themselves. Now, you could say that came from a place of confidence. I think it came from a place that they wanted a win last year because of 2022 and the first-party situation last year being what it was. They knew the talk of the town out there, and they wanted to come strong at that showcase. So they self-imposed this 12-month thing, and I just don't want them to ever do it again. They don't need to do it. And overall, I want the industry to stop giving us any dates. I don't want release windows. I don't want dates. Show us games when it's close to time, when you're ramping up marketing for that final push of the last 3 months or 4 months, whatever it is, and you're absolutely sure that you're going to nail that release date. Give us the release date. I'd love to see the industry go back to that. That's the way it used to be back in the old days. Before we had the internet, we'd wait for those magazines to come out, or we'd stop in the local game store, whatever it was in your area, and they'd be like, oh yeah, this game's launching next month. And it'd be a big surprise. Or we open up the magazine, and the magazine would have a full-blown 2-3 page article on a certain game. And at the end would be like, and we found out it's launching this date. And it would be like 2 months away, right? That's the way it used to be, and we didn't have the discussions we do now. And you can say, well, people will be upset if you don't give dates. I don't care if it goes industry-wide because of the kind of problems it does create, especially nowadays when we know devs are having a hard time hitting these dates because games are getting so complicated, which, again, I don't deny in any way, shape, or form. But if the industry-wide kind of went away from that, we'd all get used to it. And then, if anything, under promise and over deliver. If you think a game's going to be out if you think you can get a game out a year and a half, tell us it's going to be coming out in 3 years. And then if it shows up a year and a half early, great. That'll be a surprise. You'll be way ahead of the curve. Everybody will be super excited, and it'll be nonstop celebration. So I just think the industry needs to look at this, but Xbox specifically in this case shot themselves in the foot. I don't like it. It does start to erode consumer trust, something that they are trying to build. It's a valid metric that these businesses spend a lot of money and time studying. Sony does it, Nintendo does it, Xbox does it, Microsoft does it. All these companies do it. And it is something that I don't want to see them continue down that road. So this one coming up in June, this showcase, stay away from that. If anything, if you want to say something, if you know the games are going to hit the following year in 2024 and you're still kind of doing that thing, then just say all these games that you're going to see today will be playable in 2024 and leave it at that. Don't put yourself into a window. That's all I'm going to say about it. And don't let your teams double down on anything either, like Bethesda did when they, updated their page and said still first half of 2023. Don't do that stuff. It's not necessary. It's not required. And that's all I'm saying. But delay the game until it's ready. I don't care. That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, once again, man, a lot of great points. And like I said, just kind of at the end there, that's going to be such a push and pull. It's like being the president of the United States. You'll never please everybody. You know what I mean? Whatever decision they make, because you go too far left, too far right, there's going to be a large group of people pissed off about it. But I understand what you're saying regarding Xbox's position. And that's where I want people to make sure we understand. Pong is speaking from Xbox's position here. We're not talking about like this is for them in particular. Something like this isn't necessary. So I want to make sure we highlight that so it doesn't look like you just dog walking the industry, because I don't think that's the point. But I do agree with you on a lot of those points, though. And ultimately, like you said, I'm just excited to get the game out. And I want to double back here to Big Cloud before we move on to the next topic. And just ask you, Yeah, well, absolutely right. That's how things get sold, right? Like it almost doesn't matter sometimes what's going on behind the scenes. Just what can you make it look like, right? Like sometimes what can you make it look like is actually going on that ultimately matters. I wanted to just talk to you about. I don't know how close you've been watching Starfield, but I wanted to highlight something Pong said. The difference in what they shown versus the difference in the first trailer that we saw from a gameplay standpoint. It did definitely look like they've taken time to optimize this game because the way the character was moving. And once again, this is on the PC. We don't know if this is going to run this way on console. I'm just being super hopeful here, but it does look like they've optimized this thing to the umpteenth degree because I clearly saw the difference between when they first showed us like last year at E3 compared to just the short clips they showed us like on the computer screen and playing in the background. Did you catch that?
Yeah, and ironically, this comes back to optics. Why is it that we just didn't get this particular showcase for the game versus the one that we got before?
Okay.
Like, who thought it was a good idea to show a game that clearly wasn't ready or optimized as a first impressions? You know what I'm saying? It's like Microsoft again. Microsoft's good at a lot of things, but it feels like when it comes to just making those first impressions, they missed the mark on a lot of their must-need games. So they did this with Halo Infinite. You know, they showed the game in its worst state rather than its best state. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, hey, it's gonna look good. Hey, they're gonna love it. And then what happened? The Craig meme was born.
Got it.
So it's literally the exact same thing with Starfield. It does look better. I see the feedback that they definitely taken. But again, I can't judge it. I can't say the game is an instant success. I can't say the game's going to do X, Y, Z until
for sure
we get to that final release date. We finally see the finished product.
Don't worry, Big Cloud. I'll do it for you. Don't worry.
And success. I was going to say, I'm not. I would never paint you in a corner like that. You know what I mean? Like to have you.
What's the protocol? So
well, see, look, I'll let Pong roll with that one. I'm sure. I'm not going to refute that one.
Yeah, no, this is Bethesda. Again, the utmost faith. My favorite publisher in dev. They have not been proven wrong. Again, Fallout 76 wasn't the A team. You can point to that. There was a lot of circumstances behind that game. That was a decision from the higher ups before they were selling to try to make another moneymaker out of something like they did with ESO, which didn't start out in the best, but turned out to be one of the best console-based MMOs. It's on PC too, but it turned out to have one of the best console bases for an MMO at the end, and they thought they could replicate that with 76. They didn't go to ZeniMax Online. They had their Bethesda B team do it. Todd put his name on it, so he's got to take responsibility for it 100%. I've said that from the get-go, but that was not. So you look at the rest of their games of the year, games of the generation. I have the utmost faith in this team. 100%.
Let me hit you with this. So do you think, since obviously we got confirmation of Starfield, and this goes back to the other games that we know about, do you think 2024 is the year for Hellblade 2 and possibly Gears at this point?
Yeah, I've said Hellblade 2. My initial guess was Hellblade 2 would be either spring or fall, winter of 2024. However, with the latest smoke saying that Hellblade 2 might be ready, this leaves enough time with Starfield in September. If they want to drop Hellblade 2 in November, they can do it. So if it is ready, that will be your late one this year, which would make a lot of sense. With Forza in between. Again, it's a racing game. You can do that. Yeah. So I think it's possible. If I still had my bet, I would say Hellblade 2 is spring of 2024 and Avowed is winter of 2024. But that could flip-flop. Avowed could be closer to, and they could do Hellblade this year and then Avowed spring, right? There's a lot of different ways they can go, but I think Hellblade 2 has a chance this year. I'm not going to put it at, maybe 50-50 this year for me personally. So I think Ninja Theory caught up. They were hit hard by the pandemic because they do so much mocap, and they had just built that brand new mocap studio, that state-of-the-art one that they planned on using for Hellblade 2. So they were hit extremely hard as far as where they wanted to be with Hellblade 2. But I think they've done a lot to catch up in the meantime. Now that we've kind of come out of that, and so I think it possibly could.
They definitely showed that because the first time we ever saw anything Hellblade related, it was like they were showcasing the scenery. like the
Yes.
location of the
Yes,
island,
correct.
and like it was like a year we didn't got gameplay. It felt like a year and some change. So
Yeah, we got
yeah,
that cinematic at the Game Awards, right?
Yeah,
Where it was,
that
you
well,
first
know,
one, that
with
very
the, with
first
the
one,
chanting and
with the
all that kind of
chanting and
stuff.
the
Yep,
yeah.
yep,
Mhm.
exactly.
no, that was first. That was first.
Yeah,
That was
that's the
launch.
first one.
Yeah, that
Was
was
that
the
the
first
first one?
thing. Yeah, that was
Okay,
the
Yeah,
first.
okay,
And then we
yeah.
got then the
Yep.
update was like
Yes.
them taking
Yes.
pictures of the scenery or
Doing
the
the
island.
scans,
Right.
doing the scans in Iceland. Yep, you're
And
right.
so yeah, we did. Yeah, and they've shown a better track record. I will say the track record
Yeah,
is pretty good.
and that's one thing I want to harp on too here. You know what I mean? Look at look at Ninja Theory just as a whole. You know their track record. So that's one thing, and I know Pong mentioned it too with Bethesda and the team that's actually working on Starfield. Is that we can definitely look at the track record. You know what I mean? For good or for bad. I mean, there's people that's going to see things for either or, but. Yeah, great topic. Once again, we had to get into the Starfield stuff right away. We couldn't wait and talk about that. There's plenty of other stuff we're gonna get into here, but quick shout outs here. What's up, Salza, Blue Moon FC, Ray, everybody hanging out in chat. Appreciate you guys. Once again, hit the like button on your way in. Subscribe if you are brand new here. I've seen a couple other people, Casino. So hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying the show as well. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. So we're actually gonna throw this over to you again, Pong. You're gonna take us in to the next conversation, bro. Where we going this week, man?
Well, since you took my Starfield,
You knew that.
No, I didn't know that. I thought you were
I
going
had
to leave it
to.
for me, man.
I should have. My bad. It won't happen again, bro. It won't happen.
That's okay. That's not a problem. Well, I really don't want to go messy this week. I'll let Fuzzy do the messy stuff because he's good at doing the messy stuff. So we'll stay away from the messy stuff. Let's get into this. A quick topic on this because I think this is an interesting case study, and I want to get your guys' views. So this week we got word, actually just yesterday, I believe it was. Yeah, it was just yesterday, I think. That Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. We had a release date. This thing was coming.
Man.
We had a big showing of it at the State of Play. Speaking of which Big Cloud brought up. So we had a big showing of it. And when we came out of the showing, now there was people, a vocal minority like myself, who said, hey, you know what? Actually, this wasn't high on my list, but this game is actually looking really cool. I love this. I'm somebody that does like games as a service. I don't have a problem with them. They can work or they can fail. It's hit or miss. But I do like, having the opportunity to make the decision of how much I'm going to put into a game like that. And so I came out of that showing being one of the people who said, no, this actually shot up my list a little bit here. I'm actually kind of excited for this. And I'm not even a superhero person or, an anti-hero person in this day and age. I don't care, for the games and the movies. So, but I came out of that one going, no, I definitely want in on this game. Right. And so, everybody else, a large vocal majority, really did not like this game. And it actually started
I was surprised, bro.
Yeah, it started prior to the showing, actually, when there was that leak of the UI.
The UI and
yes.
This everybody's getting over the disaster that was the Avengers game.
Yep. I was gonna say that's PTSD, man.
Yeah,
correct.
So as soon as they saw that, immediately they're like, "Oh, I can't do this. I don't want to go."
Yeah, I can't do this again. Not again. And I think added to that is a big part of it is that Rocksteady, which is a beloved developer from a lot of people, is the one doing this. And this is not the game that a lot of Rocksteady fans, Arkham fans wanted, right? This is not what they wanted from that team, who is well known for, obviously creating a fantastic melee-based battle system, the Arkham dance, as I call it, that rhythm that you get into. And here they come with Suicide Squad being a airborne crackdown-like shooter, right?
Yeah.
And everybody was like, what is this? So, everybody out there kind of heard it, but we got a release date. They were coming strong. It was ready to rock and roll. They pushed it back, but it was coming out, I believe, May 26th, the day before my birthday. And, I kind of flinched at that. And I'm like, you got Diablo the following week. I'm like, man, that's tough. But they were coming and they were ready to go. And then the feedback started, and we got word this week. Jez broke it early on Twitter, and then I think Schreier followed it up by confirming it. That this game was now getting delayed based on the feedback.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And Grubb then added to it and said he's hearing could be pushed all the way into 2024 now. Um, from my perspective, I kind of sat back, and I'm just going to give you guys my thoughts up front because it kind of sets the table, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. And I'll start with you, Big Cloud, when I'm done here. When I sat back and I first heard about this delay, I'm like, I kind of scratched my head because I'm like, all right, so some of the complaints were obviously about the games as a service, which
Yep.
is something they could certainly roll back, right? They could
Mhm.
certainly roll back some of that, and do something with that with a delay. But the main concerns were like more, like I said, about hey, all these characters it's a shooty game, and I want a hand to hand combat game. I want to be on the ground. I want to be meleeing. I want to be, comboing people. I don't want to be shooting. Another big complaint was, the style that they showed off, at least that one section, was a very bright looking city, right? Most people wanted the dark Gotham like
Arkham,
style,
yeah.
style game.
That's how I'm
Again, that,
expecting, like
yeah,
Arkham Knight on
yes, like,
steroids with like
right.
shooting. Yeah.
Exactly. So I sat back and scratched my head and I said, okay, what is this delay going to accomplish? Because most of the complaints that I heard were stuff that you would have to basically rebuild the game. Like I don't know what they're going to do, but I want to get you guys' opinions on this. So Big Cloud, obviously, you're a superhero guy. Obviously you already said Spider-Man 2 is probably your most anticipated game. So I know you, and I know what you like to play. Give me your initial thoughts on when you first saw Suicide Squad, and then kind of the follow up with this at the state of play and the big kind of blowout, and then what do you think they're going to accomplish with this delay? How long do you think they're going to push it, and what do you think at the end of the day, is it going to satisfy or bring any kind of more positive feedback to this game? What do you think there, Big Club?
All right. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Injustice comics. Is anybody familiar with that? The Injustice, the evil
No.
Superman type of thing?
Yeah, well, I'm
No,
not
no.
really. No, yeah.
Well, basically, the Injustice comics is Superman if he killed Lois Lane by accident and he goes psychotic and becomes pretty much General Zod in a weird way, creates war. So when we first saw the trailer for this game, we saw the evil Superman and these characters. I'm thinking, okay, this looks like it's gonna be fire. It's gonna be good. We're gonna have that Arkham Knight approach. We're gonna have those dark moments. It's gonna be amplified, maybe with a lot of humor. Obviously, Suicide Squad movies were pretty good, right? But and then we got into the gameplay. Now to be fair, I will say this is better in terms of like the fun factor. I can see myself having more fun with this than I would with Avengers. Because Avengers felt like it was just a cluster of just ridiculous amount of ideas that just didn't translate well into a good game overall. It looked like they were really just throwing stuff at a dartboard. It's like, you know what? Okay, we need Black Panther. You know what? Okay, that's not working. That's not going to sell it. We need Spider-Man. And it literally felt like that. For this to be, first of all, for this to be Kevin Conroy's final appearance as Batman, I ain't gonna lie, this hurts. It really, really hurts. I would have loved for another Arkham-like game on the magnitude of Arkham Knight to be his final hoorah. But the fact that this is going to be synonymous with his final portrayal as the character, it definitely does hit a little different and it hurts. Now, looking at the gameplay, I mean, it looked fun for a good chunk of it, right? Especially how seamless it was. But then we start getting into how certain bosses get taken out. It kind of brought up vibes of Guardians of the Galaxy. You got to shoot these little tumors. I don't know why these machines got these little tumors you got to shoot to destroy it.
Weak spots.
Yeah.
They
look like tumors. So
they do. They do.
And you got to destroy those. It's like, oh, Brainiac's the enemy. And it's like, okay, cool. That's cool. But then, the real hate started to come at the game as soon as like they got to the end of the trailer, because they flat out said, hey guys, we have tons of customizations. And by the way, there's going to be a battle pass.
Yep.
Day one available for those of you that like cosmetics. You guys can look the part, look cool. It's like, no. It's like, no, I'm not hyped for that whatsoever. I'm just not hyped. I'm not excited. Like, I gave Gotham Knights a lot of flack because I thought they really just disrespected the Batman character, and in spite of just those 4 other characters you can play in this. But this right here, it's like, it's hard for me to sit here and be like, yo, this is the game to look out for. You know what I mean? This is going to be the sleeper hit. This is going to be it. It's hard for me to say that because personally, I don't feel that it is. I feel like they just underwhelmed all of us overall. And as far as the game getting pushed back, I mean, again, that's where we get into the crazy thing about this. How in God's name is a delay going to fix anything? I mean, you can delay the battle pass, sure, absolutely. But in order for you to get rid of what many people are upset about, which is the games of service thing, you have
going
to
back to
you
drum
have to
board.
go back to go back to everything. You have to go back to game design. You have to legit change all the fundamentals to get that. And in order to do that, that's going to take longer than a year delay.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't see that being the case. That's just them basically saying, you know what, we'll push it back if it does happen. We'll push it back, right, just to avoid the flames, and we'll come out in a month that isn't super crowded, and maybe people will give it a shot. Personally, I mean, it's tough. It's really, really tough for me to sit here as a big fan of Batman, as a big fan of just his world, Kevin Conroy, everything. It's tough for me to sit here and go, hey, guys, give it a shot. It's tough. It's really, really tough.
Yeah, so you're of the opinion too that there's just nothing they're really going to be able to fix. My only idea was that maybe they come with a different way to market it. Maybe they do show, like when you're hunting down Batman, I'm assuming it's going to be darker, right? Maybe they show that off. Maybe it'll a little bit, maybe you'll be, more ground based.
I would hope so, but just the overall theme that they're pushing with the cover art, the music change, and all that's the music score. Sorry, it doesn't feel like this is a serious hitting type of game. This is more so like a fun beat 'em up party game with friends. That's what they're going for. There's that too. But that's what they're going for. And it's like it's. I guess they're like, hey, we have so many guns. It's like, am I playing a Batman game or am I playing God, what's that game? The Division. You're showing off all these weapons. Like, I don't really care about this in a Batman type of game. A lot of people complained about too much Batmobile and Arkham Knight. Here we are talking about weapons and a game in his world. I mean, it's weird.
Quick follow up too, Big Cloud, since I've got you. Do you think I've proposed this, that it would have actually been better had WB given Rocksteady Gotham Knights and given WB Montreal this game? Like, they kind of reversed it from the way they should have done it, because I think that the IP is kind of doing, again, Suicide Squad is not even close to being the biggest names, right? I mean, outside of Harley, obviously Harley is obviously well popular.
Yeah,
but
Harley can't sell this game.
No, Harley can't sell this game. So I almost think it would have been better had WB flip flopped those two games and given.
I'd have been happy with it.
God, wouldn't that you agree there?
Oh, I would have most certainly agree with that 110%. Gotham Knights have potential to be great. It's just they just do so much at you in that game, and that resulted in the game being pretty much, it became too CPU intensive for the consoles and everything. That's why they couldn't give you a 60 FPS option. They couldn't just turn down resolution for 60 FPS. They can't do that. There have been patches, so the game is running a little better now, so that's good. But if we're talking about overall like presentation, overall like design, it would have definitely been a hell of a lot better if Rocksteady had been at the helm of that, because I guarantee it would just been more effort thrown into that particular game. A lot of people would have been happier, but it's the fact that we're throwing Rocksteady, with Suicide Squad. I mean,
No, I think that's the general sentiment out there. It's just like, really, that's what we're doing now. Great, we waited 7 years for the next Rocksteady game, and it's this. Yeah, that's pretty.
Like of all games, I would have loved Rocksteady to actually tackle. And ironically, somebody made this in Unreal. I don't know if y'all seen it. It was a Superman game.
Yes.
Dude was like going to different planets. I'm like, dude, that's the type of ambition
I've seen
I
that.
know Rocksteady could do. and more of. You know what I mean? I would love to see them make something like that, or Green Lantern or something. Like I would love to see Rocksteady tackle stuff like that. But
Right.
no, they're tethered to this.
Yes.
You know, and WB Games is like, hey, we'll just give this team, Batman's disciples instead of it being the reverse.
Right.
Actually, it should have been, but no, they did this, so it sucks.
Yeah, no, I agree. Great perspective, and I figured you would because you are a big superhero fan, so I knew you'd come with it. So thank you for that, Big Cloud. So PTK, let's talk about this, sir. Let's talk about this. Where did you finally stand? I know we talked about it a little bit after the case and stuff. And where did you sit with Suicide Squad leading up to its launch? And what do you think about the delay? What honestly is there anything that you can think of, knowing the complaints that are out there, that they could possibly do to try to turn this around in any way, shape, or form? Giving it a month, giving it some extra months or a year or whatever it winds up being. What do you think?
Well, so to begin with, just right off the rip, this wasn't a game that was super high on my list regarding just like I was anticipating this. It was a game I was looking forward to. I call these games like just cause like games. And just because like these types of games come out, I look at them for what they are. I play them. I'm going to enjoy it probably for a little while, then I'll probably move on. So it wasn't really one of the games that was high on my list. Now, with that being said, I did have some expectations for the game. Seeing the comeback was a little bit stark from what I thought I would have I thought, especially coming from Rocksteady, right? So let's rewind this. A lot of this is just based on Rocksteady's reputation. Like based on we know what they can do.
Yes.
So a lot of this comes from that. It stems from that. We know their ability. That they've made arguably. I know some people say Spider-Man the greatest. Character-based video games, superhero-based video games. Some people would argue, the Batman series is better. Some people would say Spider-Man. So we know what they're capable of. So this was a little bit off from that. The Battle Pass stuff didn't throw me off as much as it did some other people, considering, they had already mentioned this is the type of game that it was going to be, games as a service. They had already previously highlighted that. Now, like you said, inherently, I don't have a problem with those type of games. I'm a Destiny whore. You know what I mean? Like I'm a Division whore. Like that's what I do. So I don't have an issue with those types of games. But when you have an entire fan base that's played Batman, that is expecting that type of game, that's a tough pill to swallow when you tell them a game that's being made by the same people that made Arkham Knights and these other fantastic games, we're going left. We're doing a games as a service game, and it's not going to be what you guys thought it was going to be. That is a tough pill for people to swallow. Now, doubling back and saying, you know what, we're going to pull this back, I don't know what the hell they're going to do, Paul, because like Big broke down, you'd have to literally rebuild the game to change some of the things that people are complaining about. The Battle Pass, you can delay that. You can modify the Battle Pass. We've seen it. A ton of other games do it. Halo Infinite did it. You can change the Battle Pass to make it a bit more, easier to swallow for some people. Because I think overall Battle Passes, I think people will just get over it. Like, as long as it doesn't change the flow of the game and you get extra powers from certain things by buying the Battle Pass, most people, ultimately, if it's just cosmetic, they don't care. Like, yeah, it's a Battle Pass, but it is not really changing the core gameplay. So that'll be something that they could have. That'll be something that they'll come out with and they'll talk about that again. And I don't think people will be as unaccepting as they are now. But as far as like the other problems, I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know what. There's nothing that they can do within the next, like you said, year, 18 months without fundamentally going back and saying, well, let's go back. We're going to rebuild the game from jump. We're going to change the combat. We're going to make it more ground-based. We're going to have more of those Arkham-like, type combat. We're going to change, the whole vibe of the game is going to be a bit more dark, feel more serious. Like, you can't really do that at this point, Paul. There's no way to do that.
Nope.
It's like putting ketchup on a burnt steak. Like, you can't really reverse, you know what I mean? Like, that ketchup ain't doing nothing, baby. Like, we got to throw that away. Like, we got to put some, we eating hot dogs now. We got to put something else on the grill. We can't do steak no more. So it's just, it's strange that they would, and like you said, it could just literally be, we're going to pull this off the fire, let things cool down. E3's happening in a couple months. All this other stuff's happening in a couple months. It's going to probably get drowned in everything else going on. People won't be looking at this very much. We'll go ahead and drop it. We'll throw out a release date at some random period of time. And like you said, hope that people play and hope people are maybe come around and people are just excited about playing games again and just let me go ahead and play this, because that's kind of feels like that's the strategy as far as what they're doing, because I can't see from a like developing standpoint what else they can do. I just don't see anything else that they can do to improve the combat or the gameplay and say, well, we'll change the entire theme. That can't that's going to take longer than a year. And like you said, it's already been 7 between the last game and this one. Yep. Like you can't, you delay it any further, you're getting in the Last Guardian territory. I know Big Cloud knows what that is, but you're getting in the Last Guardian territory at this point, man. So it's interesting to see them do that. Now, once again, if it does happen, it's not official, right? They haven't officially delayed it?
Yeah.
It is official. Okay, I'm sorry. Yep. So it is official.
It's been confirmed. So
yeah, and we don't obviously have a date at all, right? They're just going to let us know. Well, so yeah, to me, it just feels like we're doing this because it didn't really hit like we thought it would. They didn't really read the room, and they just put it out and was like, oh, whoa. This is not what we expected. Let's pull this back a little bit, let that simmer down, and we'll drop at another point in time, maybe after E3, after midsummer, something like that. So other than that, I don't know what else they could do there, brother.
Yeah. There really isn't, and I think WB's got to be thanking their lucky stars that Hogwarts hit the way it did.
Oh man,
I think that's the thing that's allowing them to do this. Yep. Because if Hogwarts didn't hit, I don't know how much more money and resources you can put in before you just got to get this game out the door. But I think Hogwarts gave them some breathing room, right?
It did. I agree. Gave them some cachet with gamers,
Right. So, great thoughts. Again, I was just thinking to myself, Fuzz, about this when it was announced, and I just scratched my head, and I just kind of want to get your guys' sentiment on it. If there was anything anybody could come up with, but Fuzz, you're a looter shooter fan, just like PTK is, just like I am. I mean, again, that part of it, Big Cloud said, "What are we doing here?" For me, I was like, "This is freaking amazing! Let's go, looter shooter time! I'm getting my division in a superhero, anti-hero type game." So I was kind of excited. But for you, Fuzzy, where do you fall on this? So many games in this time frame too. Like I said, it was only going to be a week, 10 days prior to Diablo 4 coming out. I mean, what a crazy time to try to launch this game in the first place, but then to have the fan backlash on top of it, I'm sure it did scare them. Obviously it did. That's why we're getting the delay. But I'm saying that maybe if it hadn't been that kind of busy time period, maybe they still go forward with it and say, hey, like we're all saying here, not much we can do about it. Like we're not going to be able to fix a whole lot of this stuff. So let's get it out there and let the chips fall where they may. But where are you at with this, Fuzzy? What did you think about the game overall and the delay?
Because the more I think about it, and you guys started to touch on it earlier with the changing of the studios that were making it. Like I wholeheartedly believe if Rocksteady had stayed with Gotham Knights and the other studio stayed with Suicide Squad, I think they would have been better off with both titles. But for me, I wasn't expecting this to be a looter shooter, except for like one character. Like I expect Harley Quinn to have some weapons, but mostly like, I don't know, like melee type stuff. Like if you look even at like the Mortal Kombat or like mallets when they had Injustice and stuff. Have like the jackals or the hyenas or whatever, stuff like that. Like I was kind of expecting it to be more along the lines where only Deadshot would be the one with a gun and the rest of them are using other tools or melee stuff and things like that. They would all have access to pistols, but I just didn't think it was going to be like a full-on looter shooter. Now, that being said, I'm fine with looter shooters, but the one thing that did bother me a bit, and maybe it's just my old eyes, I don't know. The trailer from last year actually looked, well, then again, it's probably because they had to scale things back, like most games where, not necessarily Watch Dogs level scaling back, but the trailer from last year definitely looked a good bit better. And I think it's just the neon stuff where like coins are dropping off of enemies and the tumors, like that. I'm not feeling it. Like the way it looked before was fine, where you didn't have machines with tumors, like, because that I understand weak points, but like a weak point to me would be like shielding or something on a machine, as opposed to a
Right.
purple orb or like tumor or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call those. So it just it feels weird or kind of out of place. And I don't want to see coins drop when enemies die or
Yeah,
whatever those
that's
little green
strange,
bouncing
man.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like I if they can have it where that option is where you could turn it off, much like in the Division where you could turn off the numbers, because I'm not one of those that really cares to see the numbers in the Division. I just want to see stuff fly off of them and they eventually drop dead type of thing. Like a health bar is cool, but seeing like coins or no, I don't want to see coins. Like save that for like what is that one game that Embark is working on? That's like
Arc
the only
Raiders.
one where that's the only one that I've seen where killing an enemy and then they drop and it's like a bunch of coins. That
Oh, you're talking
looks
about the
kinda
finals.
Oh,
cool.
finals. Sorry,
The
that's
finals,
finals.
yeah,
That's the
the
finals.
finals,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
finals. Yeah. So it that one, seeing coins drop off of enemies, that's cool. Most other games, I don't want to see coins dropping off of enemies. I mean, yeah, if, GTA, their wallet drops or something, but no, it just, I don't know. They just, for me, get rid of the neons, tumors, and the coins dropping, and I'll probably be fine with it. But other than that, it feels weird. But looter shooters are looter shooters for me, and I'll probably have a ton of fun with it anyway. But I looking back on it, I just think it would have been better for Rocksteady to do Gotham Knights. Like I think that was the way they were originally lined up. They were doing Gotham Knights, and the studio that did Gotham Knights was doing Suicide Squad. And somebody called an audible and was like, "Yep, Switch Watch or Crisscross or whatever," and they just, I don't know. It just feels weird overall. But other than that,
Okay.
we'll see how it goes when it actually launches. I hope they don't try to sneak it in because then it'll definitely get buried. But we'll see.
Yeah. I just want the best for Rocksteady. I hate to see Rocksteady go out like this with this type of game
Yeah.
after the streak that they've been on. And again, I feel a sentiment of Rocksteady fans that have been waiting for a long time for the next game, and they're just simply disappointed by what the game has wound up being. And so I hope Rocksteady can figure it out internally, what they can do to try to show it off better, or to try to tone down some of the battle pass or games of service style, whatever, to try to give it a better light. Because I think that at the end of the day, like, Mav and so many others were like, well, I'm still going to play it and maybe I'll wind up liking it because it's Rocksteady. And that was my thing. I have the utmost faith in that studio so that even if it doesn't appear to be something people are going to enjoy, the fans of Rocksteady, the fans of Arkham, maybe at the end of the day, it's so good that people do catch it and are like, wow, well, actually, I was probably wrong about this. But it doesn't feel that way right now because of the situation, and I think they are regrouping, so I hope they can get that done. Great thoughts, gentlemen. Appreciate all of them. Thanks for taking on that topic.
Awesome. And let me get to this $5 super chat from Jay Rembert. Shout out to you, Jay. He said, hit that like button, and what's up to my guys, Fuzz and Pong. Shout out to Jay.
What's going on, Jay?
Super chat as well, man. Want to make sure we didn't miss that, man. Thank you so much. So, yeah, I agree too, Pong. Like, there's a lot of discourse there. To be fair, though, like you said, I know sometimes when we get into the meat of the discussion, sometimes we can lose a bit of perspective. So if stepping out, like you said, the game still can be good. Like there's a world where this game is a great game. It can still come out and be a great game and have a lot to offer. So that still can happen despite what it feels like right now. You know what I mean? So that can absolutely happen. So we want to make sure we put everything in perspective here, So
Guardians of the Galaxy was that way, right? The marketing was absolutely horrible. Everybody was like, "What is this? Why are we doing this? This does not look fun at all." The game came out, and all of a sudden, people that actually played it was
game
like,
of the year.
"Oh my god,
this game of the year,
amazing!" Yeah, so it can happen.
Yep, good point. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Take us to our next topic, brother.
I was debating originally doing the Forza stuff, but I don't want to do a repeat of what I did with my video, and I'll probably take more than a half hour going through some of this stuff. So I'll go over something that's a little more lighthearted. Well, not lighthearted, but like more recent as far as like we had two major showings from publishers as of recent that some of the stuff is going into Game Pass day and date. Some of the stuff looks like fun games. They'll be coming out on pretty much every platform as well. May not look as much as like what people were hoping for with one particular title, but just want to get your guys' takes on the show for Paradox and for what do you call it, Nacon, with Paradox being, I guess it was like a little over 5 days or 6 days ago, or at the beginning of the week, and then Nacon being like the middle of the week. Was there anything that really stood out for you as far as what was shown? So I'll start with you, BitCloud. Anything between the two shows that that you would be interested in, or were like your highlights of either one of those shows?
I think the mic might be you
Is
muted.
he on mute?
I think he muted.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
he's
all
on
good.
mute.
You can
All
throw
right,
it over to me
so
if or
I'll jump over to Pong. Pong, what out of the two shows, and you can separate between the two, or you could just give like your just the highlights between the two of what stood out for you. What games from what you saw at the Paradox show or the Nacon show stood out for you?
Well. We are in my wheelhouse now for both of these, right? So both of these are
Mhm.
freaking amazing. So well, I'll start with Paradox. Paradox is one of my favorite publishers. As a lot of people know, they do a lot of heavy strategy, city building,
Mhm.
turn-based stuff. Uh, Played plenty of their games. Just got into City Skyline 1 a month ago, which I had skipped out on, and I'm kicking myself still for doing that. Now that I've gotten into it, it's freaking so amazing. So Paradox being partnered so closely with Xbox was awesome because we did get some surprises out of that. And obviously, I'll start with City Skylines 2. This is City Skylines is not for everybody. It's a city builder. You can do it sandbox style where you don't have to worry about the management, obviously, of the city itself and your
Mhm.
finances and all that kind of stuff, pollution, crime, all that kind of stuff. You can do sandbox, and that's what the PC community does. PC community is huge in the City Skylines, right? And they build some incredible looking cities. Like they've got mods galore. The modding community is a lot like Bethesda's modding community. It's
Mhm.
crazy what they've come up with over there. So everybody was anticipating and calling for City Skylines 2. And lo and behold, what do? They come out and announce City Skylines 2 as a huge announcement for Paradox. And a lot of people went wild on Twitter and social media about this. But not only did they announce City Skylines 2 coming to PC, they said, oh, by the way, it's coming to consoles at the same time. Oh, and on top of that, it's dropping into Game Pass day and date, right? Like this is, like I said, it's not for everybody. This is another, like RTSs, like any of these types of games. It's a niche genre, but it's a
Mhm.
part of the diversity that Xbox offers, and especially in Game Pass. There's something for everybody, and this continues that trend. So I was extremely excited about City Skylines 2. I can't wait. This is going to be huge. I can't wait to dive into it. It looks amazing. They've taken a lot of the feedback. People don't realize City Skylines 1 has been around for like 6, 7, 8 years now on PC. It's been
Yeah.
around for a long time. And so they took a lot of the feedback and they are improving upon everything. And that's exactly what you want out of a second game. So excited for that. And then the other one that I'll mention is the Lamplighters League. The Lamplighters League,
Yeah, I was gonna say that one too.
yeah, for people who don't know, this is from Harebrained Schemes Studio, which is underneath Paradox. Harebrained Schemes Studio was founded by Jordan Weissman. Jordan Weissman, now for people who remember his name, used to be with Microsoft and Xbox. He actually founded FASA Studios. He was the developer and producer of games like Battletech, Shadowrun. Okay, so he's already high on my list. Phil has come out in
Mhm.
interviews a few years ago and said that the closing of FASA Studios and the loss of Jordan Weissman was one of the big regrets that he has during that time when Xbox was kind of floundering, right? So this is a partnership, a friendship that has been around for a long time. In fact, it was so strong that the Shadowrun IP is owned by Microsoft. They
Yep.
actually licensed it out to Harebrained Schemes, and they did the Shadowrun trilogy on PC, which is now on Game Pass. That got rave reviews. Go look at the scores. It's like in the 90s. All three games are like in the 90s over on PC, right? Over on Steam. So Jordan Weissman has a long history. He was actually director of Microsoft Games from 99 through 2002 as well. So this is a dude who has been around for a very long time, made a lot of great games, and the Lamplighters League looks to be another one. It's turn-based strategy set like in the 30s, 40s, kind of Indiana Jones time frame. And that's kind of what the game's going to be. It looks like you're, going around finding some artifacts, and then you've got some bad guys who are very much like World War II bad guys that you're going to be going up against. And you're going to be having a team and its turn-based strategy. So another game that's right up my alley. And lo and behold, coming to Game Pass day and date, right? Later this year. So those were the two out of that really caught my attention. Plus a lot of the DLC for Crusader Kings 3. Genghis Pong always likes to get down. So all that stuff was great. Love the Paradox show. Love the partnership, the closeness they now have with Xbox. And then as far as Nacon goes, Nacon had two games as well. Raven's Watch. Raven's Watch is from the developers of Curse of the Dead Gods, which was a roguelite that was out prior to Hades hitting the consoles, right? If you played Hades and you love Hades and you never played Curse of the Dead Gods and you want a game like Hades but different, go play Curse of the Dead Gods. Art style is freaking amazing. I love that game. Very well done. Well, they got their new game coming out called Raven's Watch, and it takes a spin on fairy tale characters. So you're going to be able to play as Red Riding Hood, right? Little Red Riding Hood. You're going to be able to play as a Snow White character, right? You're going to be able to play as Aladdin character. And you're going to have different abilities, and it's a roguelike, but it's also an action RPG. So there's going to be loot involved as well. And it's not just single player, it's also going to be multiplayer. You could take up to four people into this game as a roguelike. This is super cool. They talked about they're going to be adding more fairy tale characters later on as well. So Raven's Watch, high on my list. I can't wait to see more about this game, so I'm looking forward to that. And then the other ones was Capes. Capes is another turn-based strategy XCOM style game with superheroes. Now, these are not licensed IP superheroes. These are made-up superheroes. But anytime you give me an XCOM style game, all about it, right? So looks really cool, looks really unique. So yeah, I'm excited for those. Those will be where I'll leave it off for both of those shows. And then I know this wasn't a part of the topic, but I will throw in Exo Primal from Capcom because that was another show this week.
Oh, yeah.
Exo Primal dropping into Game Pass. Surprise, surprise. Capcom coming through again. Exo Primal is looking like Anthem style kind of suits, but mixed in with PvE, where you're killing thousands upon thousands of dinosaurs while fighting other teams, and you can actually control a T-Rex. I'm sold. Now it's coming to Game Pass. It has a battle pass. It's a games as a service. It's not a full price game, but the fact that it's coming to Game Pass,
I was going to say,
for a lot of people.
yeah,
it's going to be
sure.
big.
Yep.
And they also announced 2 new characters in that game, bringing the total to 10 characters. I had no idea. I thought there was 4 classes, and I thought that was all. No, there's 10 with all different styles, all different powers. That is high on my list. Old school Capcom, going weird, going crazy, back in the 360 days when we got like the Lost Planets and that kind of crazy stuff. I can't wait. I'm super high on Exo Primal, and like I said, Game Pass surprise. So
Nice.
Really excited. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, I kind of forgot about the whole Capcom thing, but yeah, Exo Primal is definitely high on my watch list. Like originally, I was kind of like, I'll probably wait until it's on sale. But the fact that it's coming into Game Pass, try it out, and I have a feeling I'll probably wind up being hooked on it, playing with you guys far as trying to control a T-Rex to plow through the other team.
Yes.
Yeah, I can totally see that this is going to be something I wind up signing up for the battle pass for the cosmetics and things like that. So definitely an awesome highlight. Big Cloud. Just wanted to check with you as far as with like the Paradox show, Nacon, and even because I forgot about it earlier, even the Capcom show. Anything or what things from any of those 3 shows stood out for you as far as things you're looking forward to, within the next year or 2 from any of those publishers?
Right now I'm dialed in on Resident Evil 4 remake.
Nice.
Nice.
That right there. And judging from what we're seeing, this might be Resident Evil 2 remake again. And I
Mhm.
thought that we would not get I thought we weren't going to get that type of fan service again. So Capcom's really out here delivering, and I'm happy to say that. And it looks really, really good.
Did you touch the demo yet, Big Club, at all?
I haven't, yeah, I haven't
Okay.
fired it up yet, but
Okay.
everybody was telling me the demo was pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, it's phenomenal.
Nice.
It really is.
Yeah, they brought the suplex back, and I was like, oh, here we go. And I don't know if y'all paid attention to the trailer. I watched the trailer, the newest one,
Mhm.
a dozen times. But man, they actually gave us more context to the fights between you and Krauser. So it's not just you just spamming knife. No, you're actually going to be doing combat against Krauser. So that's going to be really good.
Nice. Now, anything from the Paradox show or Nacon at all?
To be fair, I didn't really watch them. To be honest with you, didn't watch them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Understood. No, but Resident Evil 4 is definitely one that's a high up on a lot of people's list. And like you said, with them doing the fan service from like what they did from 2, Capcom has got that remake, formula kind of figured out. So definitely something to look forward to. I know that that's
The
going to be a
last
big
one
title.
wasn't too good. To be fair, Resident Evil wise, Resident Evil 3 was okay.
Mhm.
It was okay, but it was missing key areas and options that they had before. It looked really really good. Nemesis looked
Mhm.
great, but it just wasn't the same. It wasn't really the fan service I was hoping for with that one. So that one was
Now,
kind of let down for me, but it was still good. Just wasn't the same. What was you about to say?
now with 3, was that the one that they did the extra focus on, the multiplayer one?
No, 3 is for the oh, you talking about the RE verse? You talking about that
Yeah.
thing? Yeah. No, RE verse is something completely different, separate from it. But that is something they were working on.
Okay.
Um, because they do take the characters and whatnot, and you pretty much have the same move mechanics, if I remember correctly, like dodge mechanic. But Resident Evil 3, it looks so good, but it's just not it's not what you would be hoping for. Like
Mhm.
Resident Evil 2, I was like, damn, they gave us everything. They gave us the even the side missions with Hunk, where you have to like get through the house, that
Mhm.
that speed try. I thought all that stuff was just too good. But I'm glad we're getting that with part 4 now. Proper fan service.
Nice. Now, PTK, as far as the
Uh-huh.
Capcom show, Paradox, and Nacon, what stood out for you as far as from any of those shows?
Okay. I guess I'll start with Paradox. Probably City Skylines too.
Mhm.
So the last time I played a game like heavily that was like a city builder was probably like Roller Coaster Tycoon on PC many moons ago, right? So I haven't really gotten into this game, and I know City Skylines 1 has been in Game Pass for quite a while at this point, like for a few years now. So, and I still haven't played it. I know you got to invest a ton of time into it, but I
Mhm.
love to see them making a new one, and I'm super curious as to what's the next level, what's the next evolution of city building games, right? Like hopefully this is that next step, because I don't know what that next level looks like, right? Maybe people who play it like Pong, they'll know what they want out of this next version. So I'm really curious to see that. Unexpected
Mhm.
as well. Didn't think we'd be getting a new one. So there's that. Then there's a Lamplighters League, like he mentioned, that looked really cool. I'm not into the RTS stuff. That's more Pong, but like I said, my palette has expanded due to Game Pass, just me playing more different types of games. So that may be something I'm diving into. I believe that's Game Pass day one as well, correct? The Lamplighters
Yeah.
League? Okay, so
Mhm.
that's another surprise for me. That game looked really interesting. Like I said, it gave me Indiana Jones vibes, and I'm a big indie fan, so
Mm.
I love it. So that was one game in particular, and then I would say from the Nacon show, there was a couple. Namely the Robin Hood game, I thought looked really cool. What the hell was it called? Let me pull it up here. Robin Hood
Games of
Gangs of
Sherwood.
Sherwood. That looked
Yeah.
really cool. I mean, from a graphical standpoint, it didn't look, it didn't really look super duper impressive. Like, didn't blow anybody out of the water. But like,
Mhm.
for an action adventure game, you could play co-op. It's a different, darker spin on the normal Robin Hood. I'm all for that. I mean, it doesn't, it's not like God of War level, obviously, as far as graphics and gameplay and things like that. But it looks fun enough to where it looks like something I dive into. And I don't know if that's Game Pass as well. It's probably not, but even if it isn't, it looks like something I might try. Maybe on a sale. That looked interesting. What else? There was one other game, not Gollum. Oh, the RoboCop game. The RoboCop game looked really cool. Rogue City, I believe, first person shooter. That looked good. That looked pretty fun. That looked like something I definitely play. I'm into shooters. I like RoboCop. You know what I mean? Like, I'm all for that. I don't
know when it's coming out though. PTK, right?
Let me see. September.
What's coming out in September?
Well, I get it, right? Like I I didn't have that perspective until you just said that. But but just from the standpoint of them showing the game, I'm always intrigued by RoboCop games. We don't get a ton of them. You know what I mean? People don't really take that IP and really do a whole lot with it too often. So a fresh new take, an updated version of a RoboCop game, with these new machines, new hardware, I'm all for it. The trailer looked pretty good. It actually visually, for whatever reason, anybody else catch it? The visuals reminded me of Butcher Bay. Now I don't know why it gave me like Butcher Bay visuals. You guys remember that game from on like OG Xbox?
Well, of
Butcher
course,
Bay,
yeah.
Riddick. But yeah, I don't know why the atmosphere kind of gave me the Butcher Bay vibe. So I'm digging that. You know what I mean? Like I said, I love to be RoboCop. So. With that being said,
battling the splatterpunks in this. I think that's what they were called.
I think that's what it's called as well. So I'm all for it, man. Like I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? Like I don't know what I want from a game like this, so I don't have too much of a critique. I just want to dive in and play it. Oh, what?
the same thing we got from a damn. I don't know if y'all played Alien Isolation. Y'all played that?
No, I didn't play Alien Isolation.
So I lasted 15 minutes.
Yeah, Pong don't do the
tapped out.
Pong don't do the scary stuff. Big Cloud. Yeah, he's not doing that.
What I want is actual fan service. I want a game that's actually proper, respects the lore and character.
Okay,
that's all we want.
I get that.
Well, Peter Weller is voicing RoboCop. So
I know.
Okay, so we
that's
got
already
that. You got that. That's already
times 4.
Exactly. That bumps it up to a whole new level. Now I don't know if I assume it's a brand new story. It's not following any particular movie storyline. I assume it's brand new. I don't know.
I think so because it's not going in like the order of like the movies.
The movies.
The Splatterpunks was in part 3.
Okay. So we might be getting an alternative story. I'm down for that. You know what I mean?
Like of everything.
Yeah. So I'm down for that. Like I said, I don't really have any issues with that. And then the Capcom, probably Resident Evil. Now I'm not as big of a Resident Evil fan as like a lot of other people. Resident Evil was never like I played Resident Evil here and there, but it wasn't something that like I swear by. A lot of people love Resident Evil. I'm not one of them. But the game looked great. I love when fans of these older games get what they want, and I love that Capcom's been going out of their way to make these remakes incredible, especially with the Resident Evil stuff. They've been really in their bag with Resident Evil and over delivering. Now you said 3 didn't really hit, but at least 2 did, and this one seems to be going the same direction. So I'm really happy that a lot of Resident Evil fans are going to get the game or the remake that they deserve, because those are iconic games. Despite how my own personal feelings about the games, they're iconic. You know what I mean? Like you can mention Resident Evil, and most people know what that is due to the movies and the characters being so iconic. So I'm just happy to see fans of that franchise, that IP, get what they deserve. So really, that was probably it. I can't really think. I'm kind of looking through here. I can't really think of anything else that kind of struck me. That's probably about it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. For me,
was there
I think the big thing
to ask me in particular on the show, because I gotta dip and go and do Soundcat.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So if you gotta head out, man, if you gotta go do that, it looks like he's leaving early. Everybody, make sure you go follow him. But yeah, I don't know if you want to do a quick outro since you're heading out, brother.
Oh yeah, for sure. I appreciate you for having me. It was fun. Good talking to you, Soul, Fuzzy. It's always a pleasure. Everybody in the chat, appreciate the love. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Seriously, hit that like button. And man, anytime. Anytime.
Appreciate you.
Come through.
Appreciate you, Ben. Like I said, man, before he heads out, do me a favor. Go subscribe if you have not already to his channel. Everything he has going on over there, the podcast, everything is a part of Twitter. Go follow him. And shout out to Sean, who just put in the link, making it real easy for you guys to go follow him on Twitter. But yeah, shout out to you, Big Cat. Once again, appreciate you, bro. I know you got to head out. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight, though, bro.
Yeah, anytime, man. Thanks for
Thank you
having
for
me.
joining us.
All right,
That'd be good.
Later,
take it easy. Take it easy, bit.
Yep.
But go ahead, Fuzz. I know you were going to get into
Yeah,
yours.
for me, when it came to Capcom, the Exo Primal is the big thing, and it's kind of like I want them to kind of rub it in EA's face. Like, you know how much I enjoyed Anthem, and yes, it's not an Anthem, replacement or anything like that, but it does have, some resemblance as far as like the exo suits or however you want to refer to them. So looking forward to that, and it just looks like it's going to be a fun multiplayer or basically like co-op game, which I'm totally for, as far as just having fun along those lines. Now, outside of that, Street Fighter, obviously, but I don't think they focused that much on it. I didn't watch the actual Capcom show, so I don't know if they went into any more detail on any more characters for Street Fighter. Like, I'm
they
looking
had
forward to
a
it.
they had a special announcer, and she's big in
Oh,
the
okay.
East. She's a very popular esports kind of girl that does the announcing for tournaments and stuff.
Okay.
And so they introduced her as one of the special additions to the game, I guess you could say.
I guess you could say that's a cool feature, but I'm more for them doing like more fighters and things like that, like basically filling up that roster and stuff like that. So it's already a game I'm excited for, looking forward to when they release it. I just hope they don't drip feed us a whole bunch of different seasons of characters and then come out with like a turbo version later. But outside of that, definitely looking forward to getting my hands on Street Fighter. But with Paradox's show, there were two key things that stood out for me. Now, City Skylines 2 being one of them. Already a big fan of City Skylines, and when they did the update for the One X, and then they did the series consoles update, hopped into it. I mainly do the sandbox stuff too, much like the PC guys, and they even had the mods on console. Nowhere near as many mods, but they have it where if people make certain like outer shapes or outer coatings for some of the buildings or some of the looks for the buildings, the facade or whatever of the building, they had a handful of those in the game. So if you want to, shape your city to look more like your hometown or one from like a different time period in the UK or, in the Northeast or something like that, you can do that with some of the mods that they had, at least in the original Skylines. And I'm hoping that all of that carries over, and it looks like it will. It just may not be there at launch because of the creators building it and stuff like that. But definitely looking forward to City Skylines 2. But Life by You, I think that's the one that's kind of like a Sims type game. Now, I don't think they gave us a date or an ETA on that, but the fact that they're actually now going into like a Sims type game, considering how, yes, EA made Sims free, but then they, nickel and dime you at all the DLC where, oh, you want pets? Oh, that's $30. Oh, you want to train your pet to do tricks? That's another $30. Oh, you want to have a special collar and, a little dog house or like a cat tree for your pet? Yeah, that's another $30. So I kind of got tired of them doing all those little DLCs. And sure, they go on sale every so often. And yeah, we get a discount with being Game Pass subscribers, but it's still kind of taxing, and it's probably better to just put it on PC where you can do the mods and things like that. But if Paradox does it, and yeah, they do like DLC as well, but typically their DLC is like a $30 DLC will be like 3 packages in one. And then they'll have it where they'll do like the full edition where, for like $10 more or $20 more than what the full game would be, you would get like 2 or 3 seasons worth of DLC. So they did a little bit better job of not nickel and diming you too much. At least they had it where there was a lot more content per dollar, I guess you could say. But if they do something in the Sims world type of genre, I'm all for it. I guess you could say I used to be a dream architect, like being a car enthusiast. My secondary life goal career would have been to be an architect, until I saw that you get like a big hump in your back or neck because you're always over the draft board type of deal. So just being able to create like different buildings and interiors and things like that has always been pretty cool to me. I care less about the characters in The Sims. It was just always about building the houses or the apartment buildings and things like that. But those are the two main things from Paradox. A lot of other cool things there. Like I think they're doing an update for Stellaris, which I didn't realize that was one of those games I bought on Mac a while back and enjoyed it as far as like space battle stuff and civilization building and trade and war and factions and things like that. But they had a pretty decent showing as far as what they have coming, and a lot of it coming to Game Pass day and date. That's an awesome partnership to see, Xbox do. Even though it may not be everybody's bag, just having that kind of variety was pretty cool. And then with Nacon show, the main thing for me was RoboCop, although it's not quite as in-depth as I had hoped, but it looks like it's going to be a pretty cool arcade type shooter. And that's good enough for me. Just shooting stuff and having it where you can completely blow the people up or turn them into, a blood splatter or something like that will just be like, even though, that sounds demented, but it's a lot of fun in a video game, and just being able to do those cool tricks and, hearing Murphy's voice or Peter Weller's voice and stuff like that. Even though I guess, like, I know you had made mention earlier, the sound was like a little off, and it's like they probably need to tweak it a little bit before launch, but
it was just a little dead.
Just having it where it's pretty good or close.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me. It'll take me back to seeing the original movie probably years prior to what I should have been seeing that movie, because that was pretty violent for a movie for, like, I guess I was like 6 or 8 or something like that around the time when it first came out. But man,
it had the record for most.
Definitely looking forward to it.
Fuzzy didn't have the record for the most F words too at the time.
What?
RoboCop.
Did it?
Yeah, I think it did. I think at that time it hit the record, because I remember that when I was a kid too.
But I think out of Nacon, that RoboCop was the big standout for me. I mean, there's a part of the fitness part of me that would like to do the Tour de France, where I set up my mountain bike, or I guess you could, because I know on PC you could set up your bike to do almost like a treadmill, well, not treadmill, but like a stationary bike, and use that as a controller. But I don't really feel like being bothered setting all that up. But that might be something in the near future, because I probably need to do more fitness stuff. But it was pretty cool that they're updating the Tour de France stuff, and that was basically it. But it was awesome hearing your guys' feedback on the shows and what stood out for you guys. There's a ton of stuff coming out, and it's just the amount of variety and just, I guess you could say to some extent, some surprises, things we weren't expecting to be, either in Game Pass or either released. Like, I wasn't expecting a City Skylines 2 for a while. Like, it's cool that we're getting it, but I figured they could probably, keep City Skylines 1 going for like another couple of years. But 2 is well, I won't say well needed, but definitely looking forward to it. So, but that's all I got. I've rambled enough.
No, awesome, man. I love getting into that, because some of that stuff isn't highlighted. So we love diving into that. Me, you, Pong on the show. So appreciate you bringing that up.
One quick thing I did forget. TT Isle of Man, the motorcycle racing game. It is one of the better motorcycle racing games, but if you're not used to controls, it will kick your butt. It can be frustrating trying to get good acceleration out of the corners. That game, be patient with it if you do pick it up. But the graphics on it, the previous 2 were awesome. This one takes it up a notch. But that's another one I'm looking forward to as well. But definitely take your time with it as far as control-wise. But that's all I got. Sorry.
Awesome. No, you're good. And that leaves us a little bit of time to take a couple questions from you guys in chat. So shout out to everybody who's still here. Appreciate you guys. Are amazing. Always love you guys coming out, keeping that energy. Chat's been crazy today. It's been nonstop. I've been trying to read it, and you guys just been, going super fast. So I appreciate you guys with the engagement, man. But go ahead and drop a couple questions in chat right now if you guys want us to answer anything we might have missed. I don't think anybody dropped anything earlier, so yeah, go ahead and drop a couple questions in there. We'll get to them if we can. But anything else you guys wanted to cover, Fuzz, Pong, that we might have missed or kind of maybe glossed over due to the other topics? Anything, Pong, in the
Jim
archives?
crying Ryan.
I mean, yeah,
Oh man, that's a whole nother show.
that is a whole other show.
That's a whole nother show. But no, I mean, if we
Yeah.
want to talk about it a little bit, we can just a little bit. Touch on
No,
it.
I just like that Lulu called him out on it. I mean, yeah, I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, she's being unprofessional," but it's like you have to understand. Yes, he's doing his job. Whatever. He's not going to be the guy that wants this deal to go through, and from their standpoint, rightfully so. But the fact that you're going to be in front of the regulators that you've been crying, saying that these guys are going to do all these bad things, and then say, "I don't want a new deal. I just want to block this merger," and the people that stand to make the money from it are sitting across the table. How do you think they're going to feel? They're going to look at you sideways and call you out on it. And I'm glad she did. Like normally, that's stuff that they'd probably hash out in the email, but you know, it's entertaining for us that we don't normally get to see this type of back and forth between these corporations. And when a lot of money's on the table, certain
And
people's feelings and energy come out. And I'm glad to see it, and I look forward to the FTC documents coming out hopefully in August, because there's no way that all this is going to stay secret.
so
And there's still some more contract stuff that's going to probably come out between now and then anyway. So I'm all for all the, not conspiracy, but all the rhetoric. And like Pong usually says, it's like this industry is like the most secretive one, and just getting a peek at some of this stuff is so cool. At least to me, it is.
But the one thing I do want to highlight about this Lulu stuff, and shout out to Lulu too, that was awesome, is that she's there. If she went, there's no way she could be fabricating that at all. Like there's absolutely if anybody thinks that she's like, I hope people are smarter than that to think that she's not just making that up. He absolutely said that. There's no, because she has too much. It's too much of a risk to come out and her to tell her just a bold faced lie publicly like that. So there's 100% chance that he actually said that to her. Like, yeah, I don't really care about the deal. I just want to block it. So with that being highlighted, like you said, it is kind of cool that we get to see something like that. We hear things like that because this is getting ridiculous. We've seen this argument from Sony's side, from their perspective, get progressively worse and progressively more ridiculous as this is going on. And for a period of time there, it felt like maybe – for some people, maybe they had a semi-legitimate argument. Now it's just we're just throwing stuff around trying to slow this thing down. And I said this from the jump that it just felt the entire time like they were just buying time, because the one thing that we aren't talking about when this ABK stuff comes up is that what's going on with Sony, because we know probably less as far as their calendar than what we know currently from Xbox for the next 18 months or so. We have no idea what Sony's doing. Or, like where these games are going to hit. They talked about 12 games as a service games. Where are those at? Where are those going to hit? Where are those going to drop? We know less about their roadmap than Xbox and Nintendo, I would say. So I feel like they've just been buying time this entire time, and stuff like that just highlights it. He just said it, put it out there plain as day. No need for a lawyer to interpretate what he said. You know what I mean? Like he said, I'm just trying to block this deal. So it's interesting, and I'm curious to hear Pong on his perspective on that little bit of info coming out.
Yeah. Why it's relevant to me is that they, in the documents that we got this week as well, Sony was flat out saying that Microsoft was dragging their feet in negotiations, that they were only coming to the table when they felt that the regulatory bodies were not favoring their side. They said that in the docs. If this is true, and again, like you said, PTK, we're going to assume this is all true. Nobody's denied it yet. This was behind closed doors. If this was said by Jim Ryan, this negates that whole argument from Sony, because this means that they would never be negotiating in good faith in any way, shape, or form. So even if Microsoft was putting all the effort into negotiations and Sony was acting like they were showing up, that's all it would be at the end of the day, was an act. So none of it was in good faith. So the regulatory bodies needed to hear this. They probably already did. This was probably already brought up, obviously, to them. because again, it wipes out a major argument from Sony in these final documents to the CMA. Because again, Sony has no leg to stand on. They have no grounds to sit there and say, well, they weren't coming to the table. They've been dragging their feet. It wouldn't matter. You guys had no intention of signing any deal. So therefore, that is meaningless. That has no bearing on the regulatory body's decision one way or the other. So I think that was a huge point. I think that's why Lulu did say it publicly and brought it out publicly, is because, again, Sony's once more, as they have been, trying to play the victim, trying to be the little guy here. Oh, poor us. We're up against big bad Microsoft.
And they slowing up the money. It's a lot of people that's trying to get paid. That's
right.
looking to get paid from this. You slowing the money up, Sony.
Yeah, absolutely. They're calling again. We've talked about this. We speculated that this was scorched earth. Sony passed the point of no return long ago. They understand that they can do everything, say anything they want to at this point, because they just want to get the deal blocked. Because if it is approved, Microsoft is going to turn around and give them the same deal they would have all along, because Microsoft needs to show their best face. Even if they hate it, even if now, more bridges have been burned with Sony, even if Phil's perspective of Sony has changed at this point, it's not going to matter. They still have to turn around when this is all said and done and offer Sony the same type of deal that they have been, because they need to, again, show the regulatory bodies that they were being truthful in everything they were saying. They want to say, see, all along, we were the good guys in all of this. So Sony has nothing to lose at this point. They're just throwing the kitchen sink and every, dirty diaper at it that they possibly can, just hoping something sticks at this moment in time.
Yeah. No, 100% agree with that. 100% agree. And it's getting more and more ridiculous. Like the arguments and some of the stances and the little trickle of information we get, it almost feels like a 10-year-old wrote it, right? Like it almost feels like, where did you, like, you know what I mean? You're ahead of this large company, and you're throwing a hissy fit, regarding these deals. And like you said, they pushed all their chips in on this strategy. So it's too late. Sony can't double back and say, well, no, this is not what we were attempting to do. It is too late. You've gone balls to the wall with your strategies. Like you said, that's what happened when you scorched earth. You look back, there's nothing left. You can't turn this, you know what I mean? You can't turn around and say, well,
there's nothing to go back to.
Exactly. You can't turn around and pivot and say, you know what, this is the strategy we were trying to, use this entire time. So it's just strange that they painted themselves in a corner, and it's getting worse for them. You're still holding on to the same idea. You're still, spewing the same rhetoric. You're still, using the same tactics, and your situation is deteriorating underneath you. And you haven't. It doesn't seem like they've even noticed.
This is desperation. They've noticed. It's desperation at this point, right? That's why it looks like that. That's why it's so pathetic. That's why they're projecting onto Microsoft the things that either A, they've already been doing, or B, that they would do if they were in control of Call of Duty, with the whole, they could put bugs in there, they could make it the PlayStation version, the lesser version, blah, blah, blah. That's all projection. That's all them admitting to the CMA, to the EC, to the FTC, exactly how they would play this out if the roles were reversed at the end of the day. And again, whether or not we ever find out that they've done something like this, all you got to do, like I said, the first example that I would go to would be Callisto Protocol, to go, kind of fishy that you say this. And we had a situation where you had a team of 100, almost 200 devs helping a third party out with their game to get it out the door. And, oopsie, we forgot to put ray tracing in the Xbox version, right? So that's, again, whether or not that was intentional or was a legitimate mistake, it doesn't matter. That's what Sony looks at and goes, maybe, we probably do something like this if we control Call of Duty. But that's why they're so desperate. That's why this looks so pathetic. And again, they don't care. Jim doesn't care what we think, doesn't care what his fans think. They never do. This is straight up about protecting Sony. 100%. PlayStation is a major portion of Sony's money, and he's protecting it, right? He's protecting it any which way, kicking people in the balls, burning down bridges, going scorched earth. That's his job at this point. But it does look as bad as we think it does to everybody else as well.
I'm surprised he hasn't pulled a Tanya Harding.
Oh, man, there you go. Holy shit. You know what's crazy is the fallout from
protect them knees.
You know what's crazy too? Just to put a bow on this, the fallout from this. No, those relationships, they're completely like strained at this point. You know, they can't be the same. There's no way if I'm sitting there and I'm these publishers that from Jump Street, I come out and I said that I supported this deal and it wouldn't affect our business. It actually would be beneficial. There's no way I could look at Sony the same way. You guys are literally holding up like deals and things that could be going on just out of spite, just because you don't have, the ball's not in your court anymore. You're not controlling this situation. So I'm curious, are we going to see, less deals, from Sony, or people offer Sony different terms, going forward? Like you said, yesterday's price isn't today's price. Maybe those deals do change in the future.
If I'm a CEO of a publisher, my contract price went up just because now I know I can, manipulate Sony even more now.
That's what's interesting too, Fuzzy. That's what I was pointing out with Capcom, right? This Resident Evil demo would have back a while ago would have been a part of the marketing deal for Sony, right? Because Sony holds the marketing rights. That would have been, and if you want to play the demo,
get it a week early or something,
or it's exclusive to PlayStation. That's a deal that would have been cut in Sony's favor. Yes, they still have the marketing rights for it. Yes, it's been in all of their state of plays, and they've really pushed that. But when I saw the demo Shadow dropped and it was on everything, I was like, oh, hold up. This isn't the usual type of deal that Capcom has with Sony. And then you see Exo Primal, right? That was first showing off at a state of play, dropping into Game Pass day one. I'm like, oh, so Capcom has kind of found their place now, and they're standing up and saying, no, we're not going to cut those kind of deals with you, Sony. We don't need you like that anymore. That could be a sign of a lot of different publishers in the future looking at Sony going, nope, we don't think so. We don't need you. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of them also probably looking over at Square and be like, look what you've done to them.
Right. Let them dry. Let them dry, completely dry. So,
true. No,
don't worry. Don't worry. Square's got their NFT blockchain games next year to look forward to. So don't worry. Mitsuda pointed that out this week. So be happy, be excited for some blockchain NFT games in Square.
Woo! Shout out to Square, man. They always groundbreaking, always cutting edge over there at Square. Gotta love it. On that note, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap things up, man. It was a phenomenal show. I know our guest had to leave a little early, so just do another quick shout out to BitCloud. It was amazing having him here. Once again, all his information will still be down in the description, you guys, so please do me a favor. Go support, go follow BitCloud, everything he does. I believe he writes for LogNet as well, so shout out to the Iron Lords. I believe he's a writer over there as well, too. I made sure I put all of that down there. Please go support everything he has going on, man. But I will go ahead and throw this over to my two right-hand men. They make me look good every week. But before once again, I want to reiterate, next week the time will be different. All right. So I'm in AZ. Just remember that my time doesn't change. So it throws everybody off. So I will make sure throughout the week next week, I will make sure you guys know what time the show will be next week. Okay. Especially East Coast, Central, because that's going to be a little bit different. So I'll make sure you guys are updated on that. But outside of that, I'm going to throw this over to my two right hand, man. We're going to start with you, Fuzz. Another phenomenal show. Once again, shout out to BitCloud, brother. But let everybody know where they can find you, man.
Oh, it was awesome being on here with you guys, and awesome having BitCloud on here earlier. And all of you all in the chat, thank you guys for coming out and interacting with us and everything. And man, just it's awesome being here so often, talking about this hobby we love. So for those that want to hear my rambles or rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on Twitter and YouTube, Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on Xbox Lunch Break Special on Monday, 12 noon on Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick XL's channel. And then later that evening, FSP on Fun Speculations channel with Mav, 3-Bit, Psychonauts, and Jasper. And that's at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday. So look forward to seeing you guys there, and look forward to seeing you guys next Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time here for the Shop Podcast. So look forward to having you all back again. Thanks again.
I appreciate you, Fuzz. Always here every week, man, bringing that smoothness, man. And thank you so much. Once again, go follow Fuzz. You guys know what to do. Go find him. Hopefully we getting some new videos now that one dropped. Hopefully, that we got that one out of the way, birthed that baby, and we're moving on to the next one. So hopefully we see some more activity there. But shout out to you, Fuzz. You guys know what to do. Go support Fuzz. Everything he has going on, all the other podcasts he's a part of as well, man. So last but not least, Mr. Pong. So Pong Harvey, as I call him, great week. Got some Starfield stuff, man.
Oh yeah.
The
so how you September has begun. So
oh
we
man,
are good.
It's gonna be that ramp up's gonna be crazy. June is gonna be insane, bro. Like
it's gonna be so nuts. That June 11th date is gonna be one day of streaming. It's gonna be
insane. It's never gonna end, bro.
No,
it's never
it's
gonna
not.
end.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, great show. Again, shout out to Big Cloud for rolling on through. Always appreciate to hear his thoughts because he does come from the PlayStation PC side of things, but he's a fair individual.
Oh, definitely. I love Big Cloud.
He's not one of the crazies. So he always comes with it, from the right direction when he comes through. So great to have him on here. It's been a while since I podcasted with him. Back in the day on Boom Show for sure. I've been on a bunch of shows with him, so it was great to hear his voice. And brothers, PTK, Fuzzy, you guys brought it as you always do on a Saturday night, making the end of the week special. So shout out to both of you again. Great to be here. My favorite time on a Saturday night is right here with you two. So thank you for that as well. And chat, you guys were amazing. It's been a big week. Chats have been very lively for a variety of different reasons. A lot of energy this week. Especially with the Starfield news and all that kind of stuff. So thank you all for coming out and supporting us. Quick reminder, next week, if you are into city builders, we were talking about City Skylines. Anno 1800 from Ubisoft is dropping on the 15th. Why I mentioned it's not coming to Game Pass, but Ubisoft announced for all platforms, it's coming to both PlayStation and Xbox. It is going to be free to play for a week. You get the full game. You can download it. You can play it, get the achievements, try it out. So if you've been thinking about city builders, City Skylines is available on Game Pass. But if you want to try our newer one that's been out since 2019 on PC, a different style, Anno 1800 next week, and also Valheim game preview drops next week for Xbox as well on the 14th. So just quick shout outs and reminders for both of those games. Listen, everybody, you know the drill. It's Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter. You do get another extra dose of not only myself, but also Matt, brother from another fun speculation. PM and the PM is going to be in the house over at the Gamers Council, which is on Outbreak Dave. So Outbreak Game, Outbreak
Shout
Games,
out to Dave.
Yeah, channel. Shout out to Web Dave, man. Good men of this community. Him and Retri now have a new show, and Mav and I are going to be over there tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Mav already threw out the reminders. I will throw out some tomorrow as well on Twitter. So you get an extra dose of PM and the PM tomorrow. If that's not enough, go back and watch our PM and the PM on Thursday, where we did have Scalzi on for the first 2 hours. Mav and I wound up going 4 total, but the first 2 was Scalzi, where all we did was talk Starfield. That's all we did. And that man knows his Bethesda like nobody's business. Scalzi is a great dude. So we had a great time with that. But otherwise, after tomorrow, it starts all over again. Xbox Factor on Tuesdays. Double Barrel Gaming is, of course, the channel. Mr. Boomstick is the man. So go check that out every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time for All Good Things Green. Thursdays, again, PM and the PM. A lot of times it's a 2-man show, but we do have guests. Me and Mav, we have a great time every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Xbox Ultimate on Fridays, back on Fun Speculations channel once again. We had a great show last night with Game Pass Dad on, and Bob, he's a great dude, stand-up comedian. He's freaking hilarious.
We've had him. Yeah. I think we've had him on here.
Have we? Have we had him on here?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. No, he's amazing. It was always a great time with him. So we had a fun show last night. 3-Bit actually showed up. So it was a big show last night. So go check that out. But that happens every Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time on Fun Speculations channel. And then Saturday mornings, you know the drill. We might not have a show next week. So I'm just letting everybody know up front. Steel put it out there today. Steel's got some things going on next weekend. So we might have a break. But like Steel said, later in the day, we'll probably be hopping into some Exo Primal because the open beta is next weekend for Exo Primal. So everybody put that on your calendar. Yes, it is also the opening weekend if you pre-order Diablo 4 for their beta as well. So it's going to be a beta heavy weekend next weekend, but we might do something special if we don't have Living Split Screen, with which right now it's looking like that. But go check out today's show. We went for 5 hours. We put timestamps in there, general timestamps. So if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, that's fair. But normally, Living Split Screen every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. And then I'll be back here next week for our new time. And this will be the last time change, supposedly.
Yeah.
So 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time next week on the shop. Be there. Listen, people, it's the golden age of gaming. There is so much to play right now. It's stupid. And it's only getting worse. And I say worse in quotes, meaning good. We've got a lot coming up. It's going to be a fun ride. Get out there this weekend. Enjoy yourselves. I hope you have a great weekend. Play what you love. Love what you play. And I'm going to talk to you all real soon.
Appreciate you, Pong. Once again, the easiest way to keep up with Pong, the man is on a lot of different shows, depending on the week, what's going on. He might be all over the place. So easiest way, go to Twitter, follow him there. All of that's down in the description. Appreciate you, Pong, Harvey, every single week, man, bringing that energy. The battery of the Shop Podcast is I'd like to say. And last but not least, your boy, the host here at the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam. Hit me up on everything, Xbox, if you want to, game PTK Blam there, as well as Twitter. The DMs are open, always looking for new ideas. We do have episode 300 coming up. So me and Wifey, and I'm going to let y'all behind the curtain a little bit, been thinking of doing something really special for 300. So that's going to be, something that's a really big landmark here. So I hope you guys all show up. It'll be more of a celebration show than anything, because I do think that's a pretty significant milestone, at least in my opinion. So I'll get more into that as time goes on, as we get closer to that date. That's still weeks away. But shout out to you guys for coming out watching tonight. Once again, we'll have another guest next week. So if you guys want to do this every single Saturday, pull up, come have fun with us. Let all your friends know, this is where they're going to get that good gaming talk from on Saturday evenings. Come show up here at the Shop Podcast. You will not be disappointed. But other than that, enjoy your weekend. We'll catch you guys who are watching the replay later as well. Thank you so much for supporting us here at the Shop Podcast. Enjoy your weekend. We're out, everybody. Peace out.
Later.